Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the pro division of the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship here on a Thursday night, and we are in for an amazing time, much like getting to the high stakes table and really fighting your way through the championship in the poker championship that PokerBet's got. We have got it here on a Thursday night for the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship. We're on to round 7 here at Kyalami, the home track of it all, the driver's favorite choice, and also what is going to go and send off the championship in a big way. Scoring big points here tonight means you can stay within the fight for the GT3 Championship, but losing out tonight means that you're putting your chips down, you folding, and you walking away from that desk. You don't want to give up too easily. So, a couple of corners to keep an eye out for is definitely going to be Crowthorne up the XK sweep. So you'll see Crowthorne, which is turn 2, a left-hander that's quite wide that narrows down. You follow up through Yuxke sweep, which is a right, left into barbecue. That's a corner that you want to keep an eye out for. Another one that has caught out a couple of drivers, the S's. For many people that don't know the S's, has been around since the original circuit, the Revision 1. This, I think, is Revision 6 of Kyalami. But the S's have turned out to be a nightmare for those that aren't suspecting. Real life, GT3, AMG GT3 getting absolutely decimated when a backdraft roadster spun out and he crashed into it. In sim racing, we had a massive pile up that landed up with cars getting stranded. That has got to be one to keep an eye out for when you head up to Leocorp. That being said, qualifying has started, so let's go down to the grid and see how it's going. So Tim giving us all the action down at the grid to let us know what is out there, and great to see. Now we're going to just pick up a little bit of that amazing audio from our sim as well. So, a couple of drivers that we need to keep an eye out for, because there's going to be some big plays here, because the championship has definitely come alive for most. One of them is going to be the likes of Henry Mayer, current leader of the championship for the pro division, has been on the top of his game, had a few rough races that has dropped him a little bit down the order, or a little bit closer to his team that are going to be fighting out with him. So keep an eye out on this car, the Martin Racing, lots to play for, and now sitting on the cusp of walking away with the grand prize in the prize pool, 150,000 Rand cash and PokerBet credits. He's going to have to battle it out against a series rival, Bernard Barkhuizen, who has been on a triumphant run. Let me remind you, he's had 2 first places in round 4 and round 5, second place in round 6, which was last week. So he's looking to try and put the hammer down, ensure that he can stay into the mix. Ryan Barrington-Smith also running in 3rd place is one to watch out for. Henry Mayer's on 291 points. Bernard Barkhuizen 238 points. Ryan Barrington-Smith 176 points. And then 4th place is Christoph Peterson. Now Christoph is there on 172 points. So he is only 4 points away from his fellow LNR teammate. And running in the little Honda. So don't count him out. The only Honda in the series, and he is really stamping up his ground, hoping to get a little bit closer. He's getting chased down by Mahath Musa, who has been consistent in his run, trying to improve. Last week, there was a bit of time off from ERA. The week before, he actually landed up disconnecting from the race. So when we had a chat to him, and said, well, what's the game plan here? He says he's got a lot to prove throughout the week. He feels that this BMW has still got a lot of life in it. He's still got a lot of life in him to get into that top 3 of the championship, which he can do here tonight. Gideon Rayner, on the other hand, though, running in 6th place, says that he is not going to allow his teammate to get too far ahead of him. He wants to stay within the fight and show why the Ominous Gaming team, instead of the working together, I can put that with the KSR and Ominous Gaming. So keep an eye on Gideon Rayner, as he is part of the main team of Ominous Gaming versus the hybrid of the two. Talking about hybrid though, Daniel Rowe running in 7th position in the championship. He's got Andre Serradio, Quan Duplessis, then Fleming Bauer lying in 10th. But at the moment out on track, Bernard Barquez leading out the charge with 14 milliseconds between himself and Ryan Barrington-Smith in the Aston Martin. Bego Krobler has got a lot of history here at Kyalami and racing against his fellow drivers. Fought it out for the top running order for the Africa Cup esports at the beginning of this year, and that was a signed off FIA event which he took the fight up to Zayesa for quite some time. So he's looking to go and utilize some positive runs for his race. Henry Mayer currently running in 4th. That's not good for his championship. He's got to dial it up a bit more. But Bego Krobler coming across the line, 0.2 faster than the rest of the field, puts himself into first place and at the top of the charts. Is this going to be how the race is going to go for him? Well, we're going to find out. Ryan Barrington-Smith is going to say no to that one. He is 0.1 up faster than the rest of the field, trying to gain some time, ensure he can get into the race once again. Taking a look to our PokerBet GT3, well, our PokerBet VIP grandstands, and Ryan Barrington-Smith is sliding around. Definitely not going to be enjoying that one. But we got Enter Gamble going and saying, hey guys, have an awesome race. Go Jason Farmer. So putting in some support for Jason Farmer, which is always great to see. And going and supporting the rest of the team. The Griffin boys are on their way. So fantastic to see the excitement as we do see Fleming Bauer eat it. And unfortunately, that is coming up to Leocorp. And it looks like Isam Domingo was part and parcel to that collision as well. So good to see that there is a lot of support for the Griffin Sim Racing team. And Sean Lavero being one of those very drivers in the Ford Mustang, running in 11th position, trying to get a little bit quicker to close up to Daniel Rowe so he can fight it out into that top 10. So, Bego Krobler, Bernard Barquez, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Henry Mayer, Fleming Bauer, Christoph Peterson, Werner Skuman, Mahayath Musa, Dean Nokia currently running in 9th, 10th, Daniel Rowe, followed by Sean Rivera, Gideon Reyna, then Jean Verfiers running in 13th, Kerry Van Zale, Brandon Kruger, Andre Serradio, Rian van der Race, Jason Farmer comes across the line, hasn't improved his last lap though. Paul Fenter in 19th position, 20th, Vietia Buerta. Do want to give a little bit of a highlight on this one because Paul Fenter and Vietia Buerta had a bit of coming together of minds yesterday. They actually landed up through the Yuxkay sweep. Remember I said keep an eye on it, stuff can happen. Vietia Buerta lost control, and unfortunately Paul Fenter with nowhere to go did collide with the nose of Vietia Buerta, but it landed up with Vietia actually hurting his wrists from the steering wheel that got jammed and twisted his hands. So one thing you can say about sim racing, the stuff that we're working with can actually cause a bit of pain if it is done too high. If you do it a little bit wrong, like Loic Randabel's had there, that simple maneuver can twist you up pretty well. Darren Miller trying to get out of the pits for PWSR. Isam Domingo make his way through. Kevin Jacobs, Tiernas Buerta, and then Ruin Heineke waiting in the pits. Big Sarko written all over the nose there. Always fantastic to go and see the different communities being a part of the series, part of the racing, and just going and showing off the passion for sim racing all told. As our drivers make their way through, it is all turning into a bit of a race. Ryan Barrington trying to improve his lap time. Henry Mayer, though, 0.1 faster than the rest of the field. Bego Krobler trying to match him on the way through. Henry Mayer's got to really dial it up if he wants to start into that first place. You want to be on the front row here at Kyalami. You don't want to be mid-pack. He gets busy heading into turn 2. You will see cars going 3-4 wide, and it does become a little bit of a door banger to make your way through. So keep an eye on this. Henry Mayer, 0.2 up. Can he go and get into that top spot? Needs some momentum out of Ingwe. Gets on the throttle early. Really putting a hammer down. Coming across the line. And has he done it? No, he has not got himself into first place. Missing out by 0.005 as he gets across the line. So Henry Mayer now having to just try and make up that little bit of time in the last 3 minutes and 50 seconds of qualifying. It's going to be an outright chase to catch up to Bego Krobler, who's put a blistering lap time down of a 140.3. So he's hoping that that's going to be enough to carry his way through to the top. Henry Mayer, though, trying to break that down. Bago Krobler does get 0.1 faster, trying to carry the momentum through as he exits turn 2, heading up the Uxgay sweep. Right-hander into a left-hander, hard on the brakes, double left hand to bring it into the old pit straight. Stand on the gas, pull your way through, and now it's heading towards sunset. And for anyone that doesn't know why we call it sunset, well, it's because the sun starts to set right here on the apex, and you've got to just try and feed the throttle on. You don't want to go out too far wide into clubhouse on the brakes, turn it in, get onto the power, hold it second gear. You're going to short shift to third, and then back it down into, well, keeping it in third. Some people back it down into second there, try and throw the car in and get on the power. So third gear seems to be a bit of a happy sweet spot for the Aston Martin. Down into second, down into first, double apex, keep it tight, widen the corner a little bit, come in for the second apex, missed that one, having to come down the mine shaft, flat out the whole way through. Going to try and carry the momentum down the mine shaft, and now into Crocodiles, also formerly known as the Bowl. Hard on the brakes, down in the first gear, apex, now straighten out the steering wheel, bring it out onto the rumble strips, up towards Cheetah, formerly known as Bus Stop. Get your way through. Oh, it gets a little bit sketchy. You have to get quite close to Cheetah, into Ingwe, final corner, turn it in, on the power, let the rear come out with you, and carry it across the line. Is this going to help him, though? Because he's just lost out to Bernard Barkhuizen. No, he has not been able to do it. Bernard Barkhuizen will be holding that top spot. Henry Mayer in second place, trying everything he can to make up some time. Werner Skuman with the big Mustang, trying to put the power down. I mean, listen to the absolute brute force of this V8, utilizing the sounds from the old Jaguar, if I remember correctly. That's in Assetto Corsa Competizione, remodeled that to fit the likes of the Ford Mustang. Gotta say, great fit though. Not when you go into the dirt. Oh, just clipping the wall. Tried stopping it, didn't quite work. Then we've got the little Honda of Christoph Peterson. He's actually pulling around Kevin Jacobs at the moment, who is trying to make up some time. So very, very good to see. A couple of drivers still out there for the final 1 minute and 10 seconds left of this race. Ryan Barrington-Smith currently 0.2 faster than the rest of the field. Can he carry the momentum through now into the S's? A quick turn to the left, a quick turn to the right. Ryan Barrington-Smith has this past weekend been at Kailami, going and helping out with the sim racing side of things, but getting to take a look at the circuit itself, a bit of a build-up to this week's action. So he has been to Kailami IRL and on a Wednesday night, now here on a Thursday, trying to make his way through, heading into the likes of the Crocodile. On the brakes, you can see that Aston Martin just not getting the nose to bite in as much as he would like, really leaning onto that front left, tries to swing it in, oh, just couldn't let it bite for Ingwe. Unfortunately, that's all she wrote for there. Was on a proper lap, but just not able to do it. But Brandon Kruger is one to keep an eye out for, because he's managed to find some good pace for himself. Brandon Kruger lying in 13th position. He's looking to try and get into that top 10. Gets on the power, makes his way through onto the back straight. Oh no, just slipping on the dirt. Oh, monster impact. And that's all she wrote. Bernard Barkhuizen going to be trying to make his way through out of clubhouse, and now it's going to be on the power, heading into the S's, really trying to sling the car through. He is currently 0.2 up on his lap time. Let's see if we can jump on board. He's getting told that the checkered flag has come out, so next time crosses the line, that is it for qualifying for him. He's hoping to really make the impact here. Can he get into the 38s? 138 is the charge here. He's 0.1 faster than the rest of the field. Down the mine shaft he goes, screaming it all the way. Can it be enough to make his way through? As Tim trying to pick up the car, braking hard, gets the car to try and lift onto the throttle quickly into Cheetah. It's going to be just swing the nose in. Not able to get it, unfortunately, way too wide on the exit. Clipping onto the dirt, and I think that may actually wipe out the lap time. He's going to still keep it absolutely pinned, so we can come across the line with a 140.237. Bernard Barkhuizen with a great time there. Unfortunately, just couldn't get it across the line. Ryan Barrington-Smith, a little bit more sensitive this time around. Kept away from Ingwe, or kept away from Cheetah into Ingwe. Carries the momentum through, but this is not going to be an improvement on his lap time. He's going to have to be comfortable with that 4th place. He did improve a little bit. So let's go back up to the commentary box as our drivers get themselves ready to go racing right here at Kyle Army for round 7 of the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship. That being said, we do have a Pro-Am stream that is running as well. That's got Tristan Herbst, who is commentating on it. And Tristan, one of our youngest commentators here for RACEFACE.PRO. Gotta say, he's making a bit of headway in the space itself. And he's going and giving all the Pro-Ams a bit of love out there, which is always fantastic to see our Pro-Ams and Ams getting some love. And he is going and streaming out here on RACEFACE.PRO. Don't go and count that out. Now, lots of things happening at PokerBet. Lots of prizes to be won. We're going to be touching on to a few of those come tonight. So let's go down to our grid and take a look at the racing. Beautiful shots of the cars. Guys trying to get themselves lined up and re-warmed up. But with PokerBet, you can win big, ladies and gentlemen. So if you take a look down in our description, you will see our affiliate link to PokerBet, where you can win big with the Mahala Madness, and also go and take a look at their massive competitions they're running. Example, you do have 100% first deposit match up to 2,000 Rand as a sports welcome bonus, part of the Mahala Madness happening this spring at the World of PokerBet. An extra 50 Rand free bet on top of the sport welcome bonus when you're using the promo code R50 Mahala. And I'm going to repeat that, R50 Mahala. Make sure you go and use that code because there's lots and lots to go for it. Not to mention, and not to forget about PokerBet having a spring into action sort of event where you play 50 tournaments in September and qualify for a 50,000 Rand free roll. Yes, you heard me right. 50,000 Rand free roll. Earn extra starting chips for every additional 10 tournaments played that you get to have a bit of fun out there, part of the PokerBet family. So always great to see it. Always good to see the mark getting pushed further and further as our drivers get ready to go. But let's take a look at the shots here, because this is what we want to see. The moneymakers, seeing the GT3s all lined up in a row. Bernard Barkhuizen, Henry Mayer, Bago Krobler, as they start to get rolling. Ryan Barrington-Smith. I mean, everyone is now chomping at the bit, knowing that this is it. This is their second last race of the season to make it or break it. To make it for that 150,000 Rand cash and PokerBet credits. I mean, that is the biggest prize pool in South African sim racing history to date, and that has been set by PokerBet. So take a look at our PokerBet GT3 standings for tonight. Bernard Barkhuizen starting out in first place ahead of championship rival Henry Mayer, who is first in the championship, second on the grid. Bago Krobler running in third. Ryan Barrington-Smith, Dean Nokia in fifth, followed by Paul Fenter, Gideon Rayner, Daniel Rowe, Christoph Peterson, Fleming Bauer, Werner Skuman, Mahayath Musa, Andre Seradio, Brandon Kruger, Sean Larrera, Jean Verveers, Kerry van Zale, Via Tia Buerta, Rian van der Race, Jason Farmer, Tiernas Buerta, Ryan Faree, Laurie Crandebal, Darren Miller, Isam Domingo, Ryan Heineke running in 26th. Then we got 27th position, Kevin Jacobs, looking to round it out. So great lineup of drivers, some absolutely stellar runs, but we got to also talk about how the championship has gone and changed, because we did have quite a few starters at the start of the championship, unfortunately dropping out due to various reasons. We hope to see them for the final round, and looking forward to seeing them score a few points. I know there's some drivers that are chomping at the bit to get back into the fight and fight their way towards the top once again. Yeah, why? Because why not? Make it a great finale. So here's my challenge out to everyone that is part of the championship, that signed up originally for the championship. You did a race. We know who you are. You're out there on the SimGrid platform. We can see exactly where you are. We want to see you guys for the final race, round 8, to come and attend the final race. Be a part of the big show. Great send-off. And also for the biggest prize pool in history, let's make it the biggest pro grid in history as well. Why not? There's 40 boxes in a set of Corsa Competizione. Let's fill them up. Let's make sure we can get going. Bernard Barkhuizen and Henry Mayer, though, they're looking to get going, lining up side by side with one another. Bernard Barkhuizen's got a lot of pressure here. He needs to win big. He needs to ensure that he can stand up towards the top. Taking a look, Ashley Bredwell-Wilson going and saying, good luck, Alan R. Putting in the big support for what you can see, Ryan Barrington-Smith and Paul Fenter that are lined up in the Alan R. the Aston Martins. But don't count out Christoph Peterson in 9th with the little Honda as well. So, around Cheetah they go. And this is it. Coming down to Ingwe, they're going to gently bring the speed down. 70 kilometers an hour. You don't want to jump it. 2 mandatory pit stops for round 7 of the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship. Biggest prize pool in history. We're back at our home circuit here at Kailami. Now lights are on. Wait for it to go green. Jim on the lights. Waiting for our KMA marshals to send us off, as our Kailami marshal is going to be working pretty hard here tonight for this 1 hour and 20 minute race as we go green. Bernard Barkhuizen trying to get the jump on, and you can immediately see Bago Krobler battling it out with Dean Nokia, trying to make their way through into turn 1. A short kink, and now it is into turn 2 as they go hard on the brakes. Henry Mayer stuck on the outside as all the cars going 3 wide, all looking okay. Yuxay Sweetbow looking a bit busy. Henry Mayer and Bernard Barkhuizen elbow to elbow. Henry Mayer, unfortunately, not able to carry the momentum through there. Loses out the drive. Bago Krobler now has got a problem. Daniel Rowe, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Gideon Rayner, all going right up behind him. You can see how Ryan Barrington-Smith puts his nose in, gets alongside Daniel Rowe, gets a pass done and dusted. Daniel Rowe, though, going to come back onto the anchors and hope they can get on the inside of the Aston Martin, forcing Ryan Barrington-Smith out a little bit wide. Gideon Rayner comes into the fray, in through the S's side by side with GT3s. It's going to be a bit tight there, but it does look like Daniel Rowe gave it a little bit of a lift. He's going to go for uphill, charging his way through, closing up on Ryan Barrington-Smith, but that has allowed the likes of Gideon Rayner to put his nose in. The 296 Ferrari looking to really switch it up as they make their way through. The top 3 now starting to open up a gap, but behind them the action starting to heat up as you see Dean Nokia going and fighting out with Paul Fenter a little bit further behind. Christoph Peterson trying to make up some time as he is looking to keep ahead of his fellow teammate Paul Fenter. Dean Nokia going and chasing him down. Fleming Bauer trying to hunt down that inside line and switching it up. Werner Skuman going and really leaning on the pressure, trying to force a mistake through Cheetah. Couldn't quite get it done, as we do see that looked like one of the PWSR. That was Darren Miller who got it all types of wrong. He's able to save the car and get it back out on track. So great racing off the start of the bat. Very, very easy battles, not too much of a knock. Well, that being said, Issam Domingo, Kevin Jacobs, and Darren Miller did have a little bit of contact with one another. Let's go to the number 13 car and see what happened to him. This is Domingo. So Issam Domingo trying to make his way through, in through Cheetah. Sees that Miller's gone out wide, try to move himself back, and immediately tries to come across the nose. Miller not trying to lose too much time. Has this little bit of contact, unfortunately. Kevin Jacobs nowhere to go except the side of the door of Miller, and really had to put his nose into it and just, well, hope that it doesn't cause too much damage to his car. It is going to hurt his top end by quite a bit, so he's going to have to pull in the pits and get that sorted out. Now let's talk about the mandatory pit stops, now that we've seen a couple of damages coming into play here. Sean Loureiro and Brandon Kruger. Kruger making up a bit of time, gets past Loureiro, and now Sorodio trying to get that little bit of momentum as they charge away up to Leocorp. Loureiro hard on the anchors, brings it back. Sorodio tries to go for the undercut. Couldn't quite get the nose of the BMW in underneath that Mustang and had to wait it out. But yes, let's talk about our pit stop strategies. We've got 2 mandatory pit stops that need to be done in this race. Pit lane will open in the first, after 10 minutes of the race. Then at the end, there will be the final 10 minutes of the race. It will close. So you have roughly about, I'd say, an hour to get yourself sorted out. 50 minutes because generally that's when you get caught out. Any damage to these cars means that you're out for quite a bit, so you got to really battle it out in terms of top end. That being said, as we do see one of the Martin Racing, that is Fleming Bauer trying to battle out with Werner Skuman. And Skuman getting out a little bit wide. Does get on the power once again through the Oxo Sweep. Brings the nose back in. Oh! A little bit of contact between the likes and Werner Skuman. Fleming Bauer there, both leaning onto each other quite a bit. Werner Skuman, though, still parked out on the dirt. Suddenly has the entire train. Heinz Musa, Brandon Kruger, Sean Lerera, Andres Rodio, and John Faviers getting past him. So they had no problem there. Heinz Musa onto the back of Fleming Bauer is going to look to try and do a Project Vapor dive. Couldn't get it in, unfortunately. BMW just couldn't get the nose tucked under that McLaren. And you can see Lerera having to actually move his Mustang out of the queue just a little bit, just to see where the brake markers are. Try and get himself into a little bit of free air, because caught up in a train like this, you can quite easily miss the brake boards. As Lerera goes for a look on the inside, had to back out of it immediately, had Sorodio try and close up onto him. Sorodio was hoping to get right behind the likes of Brandon Kruger to force Lerera stuck on the inside line and really bottle up that drive, try and force him out as much as possible. Heinz Musa going for a deep dive into the Crocodile to try and line it up. He looks to get it all hooked in. Now it's coming up to Cheetah, side by side. Oh, this is going to be close, but it looks like Bauer managing just to power on a little bit quicker than Heinz Musa, who's going to come back for Ingwe, immediately getting a little bit of contact, and that has caused a bit of a problem. Got the contact with Brandon Kruger, and now got twisted around. Thankfully, he's around the corner for the rest of the cars. They're going to be straightening up to get around him, but unfortunately for Heinz Musa, he had to wait for the entire train to get by on there. Lerero had nowhere to go, once again stuck in this train, trying to figure out where is he going to go, what's going to be the idea, how is he going to gain that little bit of momentum a little bit further back than he planned. Werner Skuman getting past Jean Faviers, now trying to carry on the momentum as he gets a little bit more drive. Faviers dropping a little bit back, going to tuck into the toe. Sean Lerero immediately onto the back of him. Loic Randabel trying to bring that baby back, and Kerry von Zale going out wide. Oh, Lerero going and dipping a wheel on the dirt. That is not going to help him out, as he's going to lose the drive and suddenly has now got a monster train on the back of him. The cars so close, nose to tail. Not a single one of these drivers looking to give an inch at this point. They are going to really take it onto the high stakes table here. They're going to play the roulette table. They're going to throw it in. Bets on red. And Lerero, unfortunately, had to go and pull out that one. The risky move just wasn't going to work out. He did the numbers game and decided, I'm not going to hedge my bets just there. I'm going to wait it out a little bit and see where I go. Jason Farmer getting the pass on Vietia Buerta. Side by side they go. Vietia Buerta stuck on the inside. Can he lose out the drive? Yes, he does. That bottles him up immediately. Isam Domingo goes and takes a drive on Tienes Buerta. He had to go on the anchors a little bit harder than planned. Isam Domingo, no fear, getting past the likes of Tienes Buerta through Cheetah, forcing him to come off her gas and saying, listen, buddy, now it's my turn. Vietia Buerta going a little bit harder on the brakes because of the nature of Crocodile makes it a little bit more difficult. So, a couple of things to keep an eye out for. But remember, the harder that they push now, the more it becomes a problem on their tires later. Mandatory 2 pit stops. It is a bit warm out there. Tire degradation is going to be a factor here that the drivers are going to have to keep well enough aware. That front left will take a monster beating around Kyle Army racetrack, especially if your tire pressures are running a little bit too on the lower side. Tienes Buerta trying to go around the outside of Isam Domingo, really giving it gas. Tries to get it through Sunset, now heading up towards the clubhouse. Needs to just put himself in the middle of the track. Yes, he does. And that's just enough to kill the drive and still go on the defense on the way through. So all that he needed to do there was just go and lean on that nose enough to try and get that pass done and dusted. Got it all hooked in. Now Isam Domingo is going to look to try and make up a bit of time. What you can do here is keep to the far right. Try and give yourself a late entry into the first apex. Come out very, very wide. And now switch deep inside on the power. Keep it absolutely floored. You're going to get a lot of momentum right here, as we do see Ruben Heineke making up some time behind Kevin Jacobs. Here's some Domingo battling to get that rear to tuck in with him. And that's going to allow Free to get into the play here, because Free on the Pandassi trying to make up some time. Kevin Jacobs, though, going and battling out. Ruud Heineke and Darren Miller going and keeping a fair amount of pressure there. Miller trying to really keep on the back of Heineke and make as much of battle. Can he get it done? Heineke looks on the inside. Kevin Jacobs showing exactly why those Bilstein shock absorbers that he's got the coilovers, is working incredibly hard on the car, going and having a bit of a tribute delivery to one of the racing cars in GT3 racing. Gotta say, I love it. Then you've got Ruud Heineke showing off for Sarko brand. Darren Miller with PWSR getting a little bit unsteady and immediately has room for the race, closing down on him, utilizing some colors similar to the likes of Williams Esports that they run. Oh, Thriller Miller and Heineke onto the dirt. That's killed off both their drives. Now Heineke now trying to defend against Miller, who's going to go around the outside front of the race. Tried capitalizing on it. He's stuck on the outside. Really looks to try and get past done. Couldn't get it done on Heineke, but Miller managing to defend as much as possible. Holds his position. So, great racing out all over. Brandon Kruger onto the back of Fleming Bauer. Now remember, we saw Bauer have a bit of a proper knock a little bit earlier on with Werner Skuman, and Werner Skuman has not forgotten. You go and remember the Dark Souls, or even the likes of Skyrim, where it says a person will not forget. Well, that's the same in sim racing, as we just got word. Pit window is now open. Splash and dashes is a viable option to do right now for many of our drivers. Kilian Rayner taking that opportunity immediately to try and get it done. Is he going to be the only driver? That is the question that I'm taking a look at. No, Jason Farmer into the pits, Vietia Buerta into the pits, Tianis Buerta into the pits, Ruud Heineke into the pits as well. So we have seen a couple of drivers go and get themselves in. Maeth Musa, though, way down the order than planned. Maeth Musa actually down quite some time, and that was after having his unfortunate little spin in the final corner. Got it to turn around and landed up with a bit of a problem. Bago Krobler, Ryan Barrington-Smith battling out for third and fourth. Then we've got Daniel Rowe fighting on Christoph Peterson. How's that for a hybrid racing battle against Alan R? Always great to see. Got a bit of a unique battle coming in. Paul Fencer just spectating from the sidelines there, going and saying, all right, he's going to keep the momentum going, and he's going to really hang on the back of him as they make their way through. So Daniel Rowe's going to be very cautious on his attack, but he's also trying to just provide a little bit more breathing room to Bago Krobler to try and keep the guys at bay. Well, Bago Krobler watching for Ryan Barrington-Smith, and Johan Bago Krobler needs to keep up a solid bit of momentum here to keep Ryan at bay as they fight their way through. Bago Krobler running out a little bit wide, still chasing down Henry Mayer, who you see still in shot. Not often we get to see Henry Mayer battling this much, especially on a circuit that is very, very, very familiar to these sim racers. They know Kyle Army like the back of their hand. I think they know more of Kyle Army than the people that originally built it, because they've gone and looked at all the key aspects that's needed to go and ensure that you get your way through. I've actually sat with sim racers down at Cheetah. They could tell me exactly how to take it, and I was watching real cars do it. Darren Miller, though, showing a little bit more towards our KMA Marshals there, and unfortunately getting a bit of a knock for the 91. Let's take a look and see what happens. So side by side with Kevin Jacobs, down the mineshaft he goes. Kevin Jacobs trying to bring it back, a little bit understeer kicking in. So all looking fine there. Into the Crocodile. Tries to go for an undercut. Kevin Jacobs comes across both. Oh, having a bit of an upset moment. Unfortunately, Kevin Jacobs going and clipping the nose and landed up with Darren Miller, unfortunately, with a lot of damage to the front end of his car. He's not going to be very happy with that. Ashley Bredolson down in the PokerBet grandstands, going and actually bringing up a very, very good point. Is there going to be a tire change? Now, I'm hedging my bets here, because here at PokerBet RACEFACE.PRO GT3 Championship, it's all about working out the strategies, working out the plans. It's round 7. And if you're battling it out with drivers, you know your left-hand front is going to be taking a monster beating around the circuit. Naturally, Kailami, lots of leading camber onto it, does eat it away. First pit stop, splash and dash. Second pit stop, try and get yourself at least into the last 40 minutes of the race. Then swap out your tires, get a fresh set of boots on. Means that you've done that length of time behind it. And taking a look at some of our drivers though, Gideon Reyna, splash and dash, Tennis Buerta, Vietia Buerta, all done splash and dashes. Jason Farmer did 14, so he also did a splash and dash. Red Heidecke and Kevin Jacobs have done a splash and dash. Darren Miller, repair, splash and dash, and tires on his way through. So Ryan Barrington-Smith all over Bago Krubler, trying to really do everything he can. Going to go over him like a bad rash at this point. It's going to be just as bad as going and not putting enough powder down on the nappy as he goes and tries to get a bit of a send. Christoph Peterson into the pits as well. So now we're starting to see those pit stops coming in play. I do think this would be a great idea for drivers to get their first pit stops out of the way. So Gideon Reyna is the one to keep an eye out for. He is running in 19th position. He's looking to really fight his way back up to the running order. So keep an eye on him. It's going to be a close one. But it's all about running the numbers here. Remember, it's round 7. It's all or nothing for these drivers as Bago Krubler and Ryan Barrington-Smith try and make their way down the mine shaft. They go. Bago carrying a very defensive line will carry a lot of momentum into the likes of the Crocodile. Late on the anchors, try bringing through. Ryan Barrington-Smith looks for the inside line. Try putting a bit of his nose underneath him. Couldn't get that lift as much as you wanted. Bago Krubler keeping a very defensive line. So Johan Bago Krubler is doing just enough to keep the pressure on and just enough to stay in the fight whatsoever. So Ryan Barrington-Smith will carry the momentum through and chase down. But little by little, these two are starting to claw into the back of Henry Mayer, who's only 2.6 seconds ahead of him. So they are going to really force a mistake out of Henry Mayer, who's going to be having to watch his mirrors very, very closely because these Aston Martins are still starting to, instead of attacking one another, they're starting to work with one another. So Ryan's going to keep pushing and Bago's going to keep answering with that. That's the one thing you want to do. Really lean on your competition to at least close up. As Tim trying to catch up with the action. Fleming Bauer has got Andre Sorodio all over the back of him. They are really going and finding it out. The McLaren 720S Evo battling it out with the BMW M4 GT3 so make their way through. The beaver teeth on this car still to this day irritates me. And Andre Sorodio dipping a wheel off on the dirt. That is definitely going to take some life out of those tires. You're going to notice that the PSI drop is going to be there as he gets a weird tank slapper on the way through. So he just really lost the momentum all the way through, clipped the dirt, and that was just enough to unsettle the rear of the car. Got a little bit too much rotation there. Does lose out a little bit of drive. He's still able to keep going. Everyone hoping to carry on a bit more momentum, and yellow flags for old Thriller Miller again. Oh, nightmare run for him as he gets towed back to the pits. Not having an easy time out there. Tonight is not the night for the likes of Thriller Miller, so he's going to have to really keep it all in check at this point. So our drivers hoping that they are going to really claw their way through. What's going to be enough to get them across the line, we're going to have to find out in the coming minutes of the race. So much to go on, so much to look at, so much to understand at this point, and especially with the championship where it is. I mean, we take a look at Rian van der Race and Mahayath Musa. Remember, Mahayath Musa did spin out a little bit earlier, but Mahayath Musa is running 5th in the championship. Rian van der Race, who's just ahead of him, is running 15th in the championship, so 10 positions higher in the championship. Mahayath Musa needs to get past, and I do want to take my hat off to Rian van der Race because he did something right there which I think many people wouldn't quite get. Let's see if we can go back and look on a replay and actually go into a chase cam. Notice the back of the car on the chase cam. It's going to allow Mahayath Musa to close up. Are we going to see it? Yes, it is. On the right-hand side, utilizing his indicator, that is to signal where he is going to put the car and where he's going to allow the other driver to get past. So signaled where he was going to be, The other driver gets past, and Mahath Musa, utilizing the hazards there as a quick thank you, is always great to see. That little bit of a tip of the hat moment, a little bit more on-track respect towards the drivers, and utilizing what is there in the cars, utilizing the lights, it does help quite a bit to say thank you and respect the drivers. Yes, other sims tend to have voice where you can say thank you. Sometimes a little bit too heated. Here in Assetto Corsa Competizione, flash of light sometimes is connected to the throttle pedal instead of actually, being on the steering. But it's always nice to see the drivers just taking notes of that and saying, hey, listen, let's think about it. We're all in the same boat here. We're all moving forward with our stuff. So great to see it. Always wanted to do it, and I love pointing it out when the respect is definitely shown from our drivers. Bego Krobler, Ryan Barrington-Smith still pushing each other a little bit. They've closed up 0.3 of a second to Henry Mayer, but I think Ryan Barrington-Smith has now started getting very annoyed with his positioning as he is now back onto the attack, trying to look underneath the likes of Bego Krobler. Maybe feeling that he's losing out a little bit too much time. Lost that time 0.1 faster than Bego Krobler, but he is trying to really wring the neck of the Aston Martin. You can see the steering angle a little bit sharper as Bego Krobler, though, is battling to keep the rear in check, constantly making little adjustments to the car on the way through. So he is trying everything at this point to just keep it all tucked in and ready to go. Not going to be an easy time, though, as they make the way through. This is down the mine shaft, off the rear wing. You can see Ryan Barrington-Smith on the anchors. He does come off the brake, so he actually bleeds off a little bit earlier, allows the car to roll so he can close up that little bit more of a gap. And tank slapper on the way through, out of cheetahs, really sliding it out on the marbles there. Not going to be a very comfortable time for him, but it's just enough to try and get this going. So keep an eye on them as Henry Mayer is now getting a little bit more under threat. 1.8 seconds to Bego Krobler, who's pulling Ryan Barrington-Smith along for the fight as well. Another driver to go and talk about, Loic Randebel, Gerry van Zyl. Good to see the drivers out there. Gerry van Zyl, part of the Pandacity esports team that is taking on the Ominous Gaming esports team. So two major esports teams that have come up over the last little while. Ominous Gaming actually been around for quite some time, going and utilizing a lot of their teams in first-person shooters such as CSGO and into League of Legends, Dota, and many, many more. They've gone and transitioned over to the world of sim racing, going and picking up some of local talent like Loic Randebel that we see out on track to battle out, and they've been really growing from strength to strength. Where Pandacity, which Gerry van Zyl is part of, the Pandacity Infiltrate Beavers team. Now, Infiltrate is part of their sponsors for the Pandacity team. They have been working on developing the drivers to be more of a tutoring force instead of an outright esports team. They're not looking for the outright win compared to the other teams. They're looking to tutor the drivers to be able to take on the pro team. So being that feeder towards the pro team. So you would go through Pandacity to eventually land up in Ominous Gaming. But that being said, I'm sure for Gerry van Zyl, he's not looking to tutor at the moment. He's looking for an absolute win into putting himself up there, because he is currently a little bit down the order in the championship. So he wants to try and make up as much time as possible to ensure that he could stay in the fight. Brandon Kruger chasing after Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe, part of the hybrid racing team, and they have been around for quite some time. Part of the OGs are here at RACEFACE, and they're going and finding out against Brandon Kruger, who, for many people, don't actually know, has been part of the KSR team for quite some time, and also part of the admin team behind the scenes here at RACEFACE.PRO. So he is now taking on Daniel Rowe, who I want to give a little bit of history on this for many people that don't actually know. Daniel Rowe is a IRL driver for Volkswagen Motorsport, holds national titles in Polo Cup. He has done some racing in go-karts. He has done some racing in the endurance scene. He has been in pretty much anything that has four wheels and really gave it horns, with the likes of Keegan Masters being actually teamed up with him at one stage of his life. Keegan Masters, who's racing with the Porsches overseas, well, his teammate out there, Daniel Rowe, is fighting it out. Don't count him out. He's with Jonathan Mahutsi in Volkswagen Motorsport. Daniel Rowe actually has been the tutoring force for that to make it happen. So Gracie, Daniel Rowe really leaning into the sim racing world a bit, and he's actually goal towards sim racing is to develop the next set of drivers that are going to come through from sim racing into the world of IRL motorsport. So he's hoping to develop that side of things and ensure that the next is going to be a proper fun. Vega Kroblet, been around since Nozark ran aground and has done a great job in fighting out. Former steward here at RACEFACE.PRO, but now looking to battle it out. But I am seeing yellow flags for Loic Randabel. Oh man, that is not quite where you want to be. And I got a funny feeling the 555 had a run-in with our one and only Cheetah. So let's take a look. Loic Randabel making his way through. And as we go to Tim on the helicam, there is our Porsche. Sean Loureiro just ahead of him for the GSR team. And oh no, that was it. Cheetah took him. He's able to bring it just out of the wall. Lucky fish on that one. 140 kilometers an hour. And he managed to just bring it back before, not to clout the wall, but that has dropped him down to 16th position. So lots and lots of things starting to happen now. Bernard Marquez in fastest lap. He has put a 7-second gap to the likes of Henry Mayer. Now that is a bit of a change. Henry Mayer at the beginning of the season was the quickest out on track. Bernard Marquez, and looks like he's dialed it up a little bit to ensure he can keep the fight. Brandon Kruger looking to get underneath Daniel Rowe. Couldn't quite get it done as he now has to follow his way through, getting a little bit more fighting underneath him. But keep an eye on Paul Fenter, who's running in 7th position at the moment. He is trying to make up some time. Gideon Reyna is the bar we want to keep an eye out for. Running in 15th at the moment, and he is currently the only one that has done his stop. Well, he's leading everyone that's done his stop, and he is running in 15th position. Next to that is going to be Andre Sorodios down in 18th. So if that isn't a telltale sign of what's going on here and how the plans are going to work out, these drivers are going to really have to think a little bit. Now, Gideon Reyna was a splash and dash. He put 5.5 seconds in the box to get it sorted out. Is that going to be enough though? The splash and dash is going to come into play. Going to get a little bit deeper into the race before switching out. I do reckon they're going to switch out the tires though to ensure that they can stay in for a monstrous time. Mahath Musa now into the pits, getting himself sorted out. He will be hoping to get a little bit more of a run. So always great to see our drivers really forcing everything they can to try and make their way towards the top. It's going to be hard work though for our drivers to ensure that they stand up towards the top of the order, as we do see Brandon Kruger looking towards the inside of Daniel Rowe. Couldn't quite get it all done, but now Paul Fenter, 1.3 seconds behind, has closed up quite dramatically to the fight. So keep an eye on Paul Wall. He is really trying to stay onto the back of him and really try and force a bit of a maneuver here. Brandon Kruger going to go late on the anchors, trying to bleed a little bit of green. Looked for the inside line, couldn't quite get it done. Daniel Rowe carries the momentum through, takes a bit of a tight apex through the second of Leokup. Down the mine shaft he goes, really pinning it to the floor. And Fred Flintstone the whole way down, if he could, to just try and get into the Crocodile. You can see how Brandon Kruger really putting that front splitter right underneath the back of Daniel Rowe, trying everything he can. I mean, that is incredibly close. And for anyone that doesn't believe me over there, he's trying to put that front splitter right underneath the likes of Daniel Rowe. Well, let's jump on board with Daniel Rowe's front splitter, but let's take a look at, this is Brandon Kruger's front splitter. Watch how close he gets under braking. You can nearly see the diffuser absolutely perfectly, because he is braking very, very late to try and get it done. Goes for an undercut, tries to line himself up side by side, and Daniel Rowe having to just try and defend against Brandon Kruger, who really came back at him as hard as he could there. But Brandon Kruger, what I've noticed, is actually braking a little bit less than Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe, if you have to talk about percentage gains, he is braking about 35% for turn 2. Well, the likes of Brandon Kruger going more towards 27%. He's bleeding it off a little bit earlier to allow the car to roll into the corner, and using engine braking to really slow him down towards the end. So he's actually going down the gears a lot harder then the likes of Daniel Rowe to try and bring it back. But that has brought in Paul Fenter into the mix as well. Don't count out Paul Fenter just yet. He's 1 second behind as these two go side by side. Down the mine shaft they go. And they both running off the apex. Both have a compromised drive. Brandon Kruger is ahead of Daniel Rowe. But both will be losing roughly about 3 kilometers an hour down into the crocodile. That is going to assist Paul Fenter in closing up that gap quite quickly to the two of them. So Daniel Rowe losing out that little bit of time. Going to try and reduce the pace. He's going to give himself a little bit more breathing room to save on those tires. Brandon Kruger wants to break away as early as possible. Let's go down to another battle. We've been watching these three go and fight it out. Let's talk about another one. Tiana Spuerta and Mahaith Musa, who is trying to make a return back up through the field. This is 20th and 19th position as Mahaith Musa looks for the inside line, trying to come back at him. Couldn't quite get the pass done as dusted as yet, but Mahaith Musa was striking out for that top 10. Well, the likes of Tiana Spuerta a little bit further down. Like Randabelt pulling into the pits. You can see how Tiana Spuerta cuts across the nose. Mahaith Musa tries to come back underneath him. Has his second guess at one. Side by side they go. Heading towards Cheetah. Mahaith Musa not going to yield. Neither is Tiana Spuerta, who's going to go on the outside and try and bring it back. My heavens! Well done to the McLaren driver. Stuck on the outside into the dirt. He absolutely kept it pinned. And I think for Mahaith Musa, he went and raised an eyebrow there saying, hang on, buddy. That was a bit on the risky side there. And now I'm starting to see that you're not willing to yield as well. So Tiana Spuerta is stuck on the outside. Mahaith Musa with a big send on the inside. Can he carry the momentum through? Loses out a bit of drive. Tiana Spuerta tries to go for the undercut. Couldn't get it done through the XK. And now it is up into barbecue. Late on the anchors. Try and bring it back onto the pit straight. Mahaith Musa sliding out that rear. Not so happy with it. Going to try and keep in the toe. Tiana Spuerta needing everything he can to just look for the inside through Sunset. Couldn't quite get it all hooked in. Going to carry the momentum through. Goes out very wide. Lost out a lot of time there over the curbs. That's going to start eating into the life of the tires. Not helping out any run there. That's going to also play into the hands of Christoph Peterson. Trying to move his way back up into the order. Kevin Jacobs and Logan Randall finding out between the two. Kevin Jacobs actually having to just break that a little bit more. Just try and get that nose to dip down. Quick flash of the light saying, hey, Logan, that was a little bit on the close side. But now it's time for you to go and mosey on. You know, get a little bit of get up and go. You got past me. Now you need to get going. I don't want to hang around at this point. You need to really try and move yourself up through the order. So, that being said, and we're talking about orders and talking about the race at hand, let's talk about what you can do with PokerBet. So PokerBet is springing into action this spring. Play 50 tournaments in September and qualify for a 50,000 Rand free roll. Extra starting chips for every additional 10 tournaments played. You heard me right. 50,000 Rand free roll when you play 50 tournaments in September. All that you need to do is go down to the description, click on the link, and it'll take you over to the PokerBet family side. If you haven't joined, that is the way to do it. And if you wanted to go and win big with PokerBet, well, they've got everything lined up for you. Christoph Peterson, though, finding out with Tiana Spuerta, getting past. Tiana Spuerta losing our bit of momentum there. Let's see if we can go back and watch that pass in action, because we were just talking about PokerBet's amazing stuff. Well, let's talk about on track with amazing stuff. Tiana Spuerta stuck on the outside, trying to carry his way through. In turn one, going to hold on the right-hand side, where you see Christoph Peterson going to take on the inside. It's going to line him up towards turn two. It's a wide track that you can go through. 4 cars wide if you want to get it all done. Christoph Peterson late onto the anchors, turns it in, stops dead on the apex, comes across the nose, and that allows him to carry on the drive. Tiana Spuerta actually having to back out the throttle quite a bit there, just so he doesn't get caught up into any problems. Ryan Barrington-Smith looking to go after the likes of Bego Krobler, charging down into turn 2. But take a look just in arm's reach of Bego Krobler. Folks, it is our championship leader running in second place. Henry Mayer has now got a bit of a battle going on. Bernard Barkhuizen's checked out by 10 seconds. And now Bego Krobler, Ryan Barrington-Smith are staring at the back of Henry Mayer and saying, hold on, buddy. This is our chance here. Tyler Langenfeld going to say, let's go, Uncle Kevin. And there's sporting Kevin Jacobs out there, if I'm correct in saying. Good to see that Tyler right there in the PokerBet grandstands, the VIP grandstands, and supporting out Uncle Kev. Great to see it. Love to see it. All the family and friends getting behind the drivers, really going and finding out these athletes in sim racing, going and moving their way through. Sean Herrera into the pit, so is going to be taking up some time to get some fuel done, but that is going to be keep an eye out. So let's see who's going to be able to change tires and fuel. Christoph Peterson was stopped in the box for 33 seconds. He's got a new set of tires on, and he is currently one of 2 drivers that have actually changed tires. Sean Herrera has changed tires. So Sean Herrera has got into the mix there to ensure that he can get a little bit more. So maybe we're starting to notice those strategies coming in play. One person that's going to be really regretting his tires at the moment, Henry Mayer, as he's got Bago Krobler all over the back of him, going and staring him down, hoping to pull the Dacer out of the deck and really putting his heart in the cards at the moment, trying to tap on the deck saying, come on, hit me, I want one more to get that pass done and dusted. Ryan Barrington-Smith coming off the gas a little bit. Lights ablaze from these cars as they fight their way through. Ryan Barrington-Smith is going to watch this battle just ahead of him up the XK sweep. And you can see Bago Krobler running all over the curbs, bottoming his car out. Does hunt down the inside of Henry Mayer. Couldn't quite get it done. And now Ryan Barrington-Smith looking to get into the fray of things. Quick switch around. Bago Krobler is going to try and go for the inside line through Sunset. Went for a little bit of a defense maneuver after it, realizing Ryan Barrington-Smith is right there to go and try and take a move. So, what would be the ideas here? Well, if you could communicate, radio communication would be key for the likes of Ryan Barrington-Smith. I would say, Bago Krobler, keep on your attack, keep the pressure on, and I'm going to make sure I'm going to just hover around. That is a bit of a weird one. Why do you want to say that? Well, think about this. If you go and show your hand a little bit too early out in poker, if you start going and, well, risk, if you go for early plays, that means that you're going to have a risk late game to ensure that you can move your way forward. So think about this high stakes table. You lined yourself up. You're waiting for the opportunity to really go for that charge. You go and hold the cards. You wait for the dealer to keep going, dishing out and waiting for that opportunity to play it on. Now you start looking at the cards ahead of you. You start identifying the competition, where they're pushing a little bit more. Are they getting stressed? Is the heartbeat starting to go up? Are their eyes darting all over the show? And then you wait for your opportunity to put it down. In Bago Krobler's case, he is stuck in a bit of a train. Heart starting to beat. He's looking around. He's seeing where can he go on the attack and get on defense immediately after that, because whatever move he does now is going to compromise him. Henry Mayer, on the other hand, just has to worry about sure defense, and for Ryan Barrington-Smith, he's just got to worry about sure offense. So this is going to be a little bit of a tough time for Bago Krobler, who's got to really play his cards right here, as Ryan Barrington-Smith immediately tucking in and looking on that left-hand side, saying, hey, listen, I'm keeping you in my mirrors here. I'm going to keep you in the mirrors. I'm going to see where you go and try and figure out what's going to go, utilizing a little bit of that speed juice that comes in. For anyone that doesn't know speed juice, that is Zaire Esser's brand. That is a trading program that is used. So for anyone that out there wants to know, speed juice, have a chat to Logistical Nightmare Racing, get some chats from Zaire Esser, National Formula V holder. And he has done really, really well in IRL, motorsport, and sim racing. One of the quicker guys in sim racing. Actually raced against Jardier, Jordan Sherritt, and quite a few others over the times. But Bago Krobler making up some time. He was actually going and doing a phenomenal job last season to ensure they could stay into the fight. Been racing in multiple other communities, all battling himself out. Ryan Barrington-Smith and Henry Mayer all know each other very, very well through the course of it, and these three are fighting for second, third, and fourth. Now the question is where the pit stop's going to come in, how are they going to push themselves out a little bit forward. Paul Fenter gets ahead of Daniel Rowe. Daniel Rowe trying to make up some time. Is he going to be able to close up that gap to Paul Fenter? I do want to point out, though, a bit of an interesting driving change has happened with Paul Fenter. Now, for many people, take a look at this. Daniel Rowe hasn't got a very aggressive driving style. He's not one to go and take unnecessary risks. He's very calculated in his moves, very defensive where he needs to be, but at this point, a very neutral driver when he gets caught behind. Paul Fenter used to be the most aggressive driver you could have out on the circuit. He would be one taking those late dives and ensuring he can stay into the fight. this time adapted his driving style towards the end of the championship, where he's gone for a more neutral approach to things. He does take a few moments where he gets out wide, we just saw it now, going and carrying a lot of momentum, but he is not actively trying to break a slipstream. He's not trying to actively dig his nose in to hold a very tight line. He's actually chosen a different way and adapted the driving style to fit. A couple of things happen there, which is great. Maybe it's a mentality shift for the driver. Maybe it's going and showing off a different hand out towards the competitors. You don't want to have someone able to read you so quickly in through a race. And that is one thing our drivers are going to be well aware of. And for those that are looking at playing at PokerBet and you're versing in the competitions, you've got to have to be a very, very understanding of your competitors. Ashley Robertson saying super aggressive in defense. That I agree. Daniel Rowe is defensively a very, very hard driver. He knows where to put the car in and get him for a fight. But I do want to lean on to the fact that he is a neutral driver when he's actually go on the attack side of things. Doesn't go for those late lunges. He prefers to hold it back until, and I will say this because I know Daniel Rowe, and I'm probably going to get clouted over the ears with it, but Daniel Rowe gets to a point where the fuse runs out. He will go and keep giving him a little bit of room until the fuse runs out, and much like many of the drivers, when you feel that you're getting held up to way too much, you then start getting those desperate moves to look into it. So it does take a bit to go and get that fuse to run out, but he does do it. Werner Skuman, interesting fact. Now, we were talking about a neutral driving style and an aggressive defensive style. Well, let's talk about Werner Skuman right now, because he's actually a case in point against Andre Sorodio. Andre Sorodio, very super defensive driving style that can hold a position. He can make that BMW 10 foot wide versus the likes of Werner Skuman, who is not afraid to take the widest car in ACC and put his nose in for a fight. Werner Skuman's driving style is a very aggressive, constantly knocking on that door. He will lean onto the bumper as much as possible to ensure he goes for a pass. That being said, he has got a little bit of a harder ratio jumping down the order as the tires start to break away from him. So, Bernard Barkhuizen into the pits. Brandon Kruger going and answering. He's pulling into the pits. Allows Henry Mayer to get up into first place. So, Bago Krubler, Ryan Brington-Smith, they're fighting it out for first, second, and third currently out on track. And Sean Veers currently pulling into the pits. So, Rodeo, keep an eye on him though, as he is 12th at the moment, trying to move his way up through the order, and he will be the bar to keep an eye out for as our drivers make their way through. So Bago Krubler now trying to get a little bit more defensive, leans a little bit right towards Sunset, just to say to Ryan Barrington-Smith, hey listen, don't try and get me there, I need that apex. Ryan immediately goes and taps on the door. It's going and having 3 knocks and waiting for the answer to come from there. So Ryan Barrington-Smith is just putting that charge on, but notice the light starting to come on, the glare's coming off the track a little bit more, and it is becoming a bit more of a problem. Now, it might not be the case of, well, it's dark and you're losing sight of the track. It's not that at the moment. Fully agree. But lights on does mean you keep looking at it, as we see Ryan Barrington-Smith get the pass done on Bago Krubler, who went wide. Now Bago Krubler got the swap round, maybe finding out that Ryan Barrington-Smith was actually a bit quicker on that last lap, and he was 141.5 versus Bago Krubler at 141.7. So now this is going to allow Ryan Barrington-Smith an opportunity to go on the attack for Henry Mayer, and Bago Krubler a little bit of reprieve at this moment to try and get himself back, take a bit of a deep breath, and go on. For Henry Mayer, he's got a short little break before he has the Aston Martin of Ryan Barrington-Smith immediately onto the back of him. I mean, 0.8 of a second is just enough to take a breathe, and then that's about that. You can take a breath in, but you can't get it out afterwards, so you're going to exhale, and then you got to just hold. Sean Loureiro, Viertia Buerta going and finding it out, as we see Loureiro getting ahead of Viertia Buerta. And instantly goes on defense. Viertia Buerta stuck on the outside, trying to make his way through. Loureiro going and battling it out, with Viertia Buerta trying to close up on the back of him, not able to do so. So we're seeing battles up and down through the field. Drivers trying to do everything they can. Henry Mayer, for the very first time in this race, now seeing that he's on the top spot. during the course of the race. Remember, he lost out that first run as he saw Bernard Barkhuizen break away from him early on. Now his opportunity to try and break that, because the toe is going to be a special one here. Bernard Barkhuizen currently out ahead of Werner Skuman, who has done a pit stop. So Werner Skuman will be chasing him down. He's about 2 seconds off that. So interesting to see where it all goes. But take a look at some of the people that have completed their pit stops. Gideon Reiner, Christoph Peterson, Andres Rodio, and Ruud Heineke going and doing those early pit stops. Maybe exactly what's needed to get back into the fight. So anything can happen this Mahalo Madness this spring with PokerBet. And right here at Kyalami, we're going to see a lot of this madness kicking in. Ryan Barrington-Smith chasing down Henry Mayer. But, so remember, 100% deposit match up to 2,000 plus as sports welcome bonus. Ryan Barrington-Smith pulls into the pits. It's a bait and switch for him. So he's going to try and bring it back and ensure that he stays in for the fight. So Bago Krobler is going to get the little bit more of a chance to get back onto Henry Mayer. But that is going to be a very, very interesting play, because Bernard Barkhuizen will be keeping an eye on this. He is coming down the mine shaft. Can he carry the momentum through? Ryan Barrington-Smith needs to get out of the pits now if he wants to hold the position ahead of Bernard Barkhuizen. He's going to try to come at him. Ryan's still parked. Here comes Bernard Barkhuizen through Cheetah into Ingwe and now onto the main straight. He's going to really have to give it horns. Ryan Barrington-Smith still waiting, going and doing a long pit stop here. I think he's going for a new set of tires. Bernard Barkhuizen has got a new set of tires on him. Werner Skuman's done a splash and dash as they both come by. Ryan Barrington-Smith still parked in the pits. Brandon Kruger going to be making his way through. It's going to be a bit of a close one for Brandon Kruger. Can he get this done and dusted ahead of Ryan Barrington-Smith, who comes out now need to pick up a serious amount of pace. He will get ahead of Brandon Kruger. Jason Farmer still hanging into the mix here, and John Faviers. So let's go through our running order at the moment, because life has lightened up quite a bit. Henry Mayer out in first, Bago Krobler running in second place, Paul Fenzer in third, Daniel Rowe chasing him down in fourth place. Dean O'Keefe currently running in fifth. Sixth place, Fleming Bell, followed by Bernard Barkhuizen, Werner Skuman, Ryan Barrington-Smith, Brandon Kruger, Jason Farmer in 11th. 12th position is Jean Faviers, followed by Sean Herrera, Kerry Funzel, Gideon Renner, Rian for the race, Issam Domingo, Christoph Peterson, Andres Rodia in 19th position. 20th is currently Rem Free, who's pulled into the pits. Vietia Buerta is going to take that position, followed by Tiernas Buerta, Ruud Heineke, Mahath Musa, Loic Ranimal running in 26th position though. Kevin Jacobs still going. Go Uncle Kev, we believe in you. Good to see he's still out there, but so far Gideon Rayner is going to be one to keep an eye out for. 15th position, completed all his stops. Everyone ahead of him needs to still get that final pit stop in, and with only 23 minutes left on the clock, it is going to be all or nothing for these drivers. They're going to ensure that they have enough of a gap to break away. So Sean Herrera has changed his tires, Brandon Kruger's changed his tires, Ryan Barrington-Smith changed his tires, Bernard Barkhuizen has changed his tires. Newest of the tires that they've got on is going to be Ryan Barrington-Smith. He's hoping that those tires are going to be just new enough to stay within the fight and close down onto the back of Bernard Barkhuizen and Werner Skuman. So racing all the way through the field, lots of questioning, lots of trying to figure out here who's going to be able to get that extra bit of gain, who's going to be able to stand up towards the order. Jason Farmer, on the other hand, he decides he's going to get into the box, try and serve that final pit stop as quick as possible. Sean Faviers is going to carry on the momentum. He's going to ensure that he keeps going. Sean Herrera, along with Kerry Van Sale, are going to keep sailing along at this point. Christoph Peterson trying to close up that gap, really going and leaning onto it as much as possible, as he's got Issam Domingo just ahead of him. BMW versus Honda, great to see it there. Issam Domingo going and moving away onto the left-hand side of the lane. That opens up the door. Christoph Peterson getting the go-ahead. A little bit of a nod there. Andres Rodio also getting the help out from it. So Issam Domingo actually going and giving a little bit of a tip of the hat to his competitors and wants to make his way through. So always good to see how the drivers are going to push themselves that a little bit more on the run through as they charge their way down to the wire. Everyone looking to really stand on the charge to make their way towards the top running order. Bago Krobler all over the back of Henry Mayer as he tries to gain that little bit of time. Henry Mayer having to go very defensive heading into sunset. He's got a bit of a back marker ahead of him. He's going to have to be well aware of that. That might be Jason Farmer that actually was going through. Let me double check. Yes, it is Jason Farmer that is just ahead of him. So Henry Mayer's going to give a quick flash on the light, say, hey, listen, I'm coming up to you, buddy. Got to give me a bit of room here because Bago Krubler is coming like a train onto the back of me. It's going to really start closing up, and I don't need anyone in my way at this point. I need you to move as fast as possible because if I get held up, this is going to impact it and impact the race severely on the way through. So keep an eye on that. Bernard Barkes running in 7th position is a bit in a smiling point for our top 6 still needing to do their first pit stop. 21 minutes and 16 seconds to go, though. Anything is on the cards. Andre Sorodio going onto the back of Christoph Peterson, though, getting into a very close battle, as we see Sorodio, who got a little bit of a nod from his teammate. Now, Christoph Peterson looks like he's going to do exactly the same. He's going to try and give that little bit of room. Is he? No, I think not. He's going to just keep to very, very deep inside. No, he actually did. He gave it a little bit of a lift there, I would suspect. I actually want to go and jump on board. So this is off the helmet cam, which is always great to see, and nice to see our technology has advanced to this point. Short shifting the gears, so he has given the nod to Sorodio and saying, hey, listen, just get round me. So a quick short shift to the gears, also going and tinkering a bit to allow that he can get sorted out. Maybe working on the brake bias? Quite possibly, but he was doing some adjustments in the vehicle during the course of it. So something leads me on to either trying to change the engine mapping or he's trying to just get himself a little bit more organized in the car for the rest of the race. Bago Krubler really keeping the pressure on to Henry Mayer now. Through the S as they go, charging up the hill, up towards the aircup, going and clipping the dirt a little bit. It's going to have to really dig his teeth in. Goes for the inside line. Couldn't quite get it hooked in. Going to keep pushing for the inside line, keeping it very, very tight on the way through. But they will run into down at the bottom. Yellow flags are waving ablaze as Rian from the race got it all kinds of wrong as he tries to make his way through. Sorodio. Oh, Sorodio and Insta Domingo getting into their own battle. And unfortunately, the two teammates having a collision. Sorodio loses it. Domingo into the back of him. And that landed up with both cars getting taken out of the mix. So let's take a look. That's from the race that got turned round. That's at the bottom of Crocodile. Okay, we did see that. Now this is Sorodio over Cheetah. I think this is what did it. Bounced it over the curb, came on the dirt, came swinging across, and nowhere to go. His teammate clipping into him. Project Vapor going into the sides of one another, and in front of Race, who had a problem prior, now has scored an extra 2 positions. So our leaders come through, and they suddenly see both of the Project Vapor cars parked off in the distance, saying, did we miss something? But how's that for a bit of a change? Bago Krubler and Henry Mayer still charging after one another, so they're fighting it out. But, man oh man, that has really done it up. And if I could be a fly on the wall in the Project Vapor pits, I can only imagine the words being said right there. And the first word is going to be sorry. No, the first word would be a couple of things you can't quite say on a live stream. And that's when it all started going wrong. And then sorry afterwards. So, not ideal circumstances, but both cars landing up into the weeds. Take a look though, 13th position, Vernus Kuman has managed to get himself in the pits. He is leading everyone that has done their pit stops. He's immediately getting some pressure put on by Gideon Rayner. Run for the race though, going to sit for the stop go, 30-second penalty added to him, and that is going to be for speeding in the pits. And I do think that is frustration that gave him that extra 30-second penalty. And stewards telling him to calm down, wind it down a little bit. Yeah, we do have speed cameras that are not afraid to give you a warning and a speeding fine. So that stop-go 30-second penalty is a warning nonetheless. Insta Domingo, he is getting flashed out by Paul Fenter, who's saying, hey, listen, I need you out of my way here. I've suddenly got a BMW right on the back of me. Insta Domingo with a very broken BMW pulling into the pits and now needing to make his way through. So not ideal circumstances for the likes of Project Vapor, suddenly to have both their cars with severe damage on the back of them. So Domingo pulls into the pits, Soradio's into the pits to try and get himself sorted out there. but not ideal circumstances nonetheless. Killian Rayner onto the back of Werner Skuman. Interesting two cars to talk about. Two very defining GT3s for the 2024 season. The Ford Mustang, the Ford's return back to a front-engine GT3 racing, as we do see a very, very late send from Killian Rayner to try and get his nose on the inside. So Ford Mustang, utilizing the Ford V8, the Coyote 5-litre engine underneath there, and move right back towards the engine. The engines move right back towards the driver, sunken very deep in the car to try and get a little bit more balance, a little bit closer to the likes of our sharp end of the field. But bear that in mind, it's going to be a bit of a battle one. Then you got the Ferrari 296, the turbocharged V6 for Ferrari, as they said goodbye to the 488 that this car replaced. So, out in front though, Henry Mayer, Bego Krubler in second place, Paul Fenter in third, along with Daniel Rowe in fourth. So they are trying to make their way back up through the order. Dean Leclerc running in fifth, sixth place Fleming Bowell, Bernard Barkes and Ryan Barrington-Smith, Brandon Kruger, Jean Verfiers and Sean Herrera in 11th. Harry van Zyl going to be chasing down. This is going to be a proper run. Werner Skuman in 13th position. Killian Rayner going and diving around the outside of Werner Skuman, trying to make it all work for him. Couldn't quite get it all done and dusted as he goes late on the anchors. And Werner going and really opening up the steering there, getting a little bit of understeer. I'm not quite sure if that was understeer though, and Killian Rayner is going to try to come back at him. But I want to take a look at that because that was a bit of a wild one. So, we're on with Killian Rayner. Let's go to Werner Skuman, who will be watching his mirrors. He leans onto the left-hand side, a little adjustments there, turns in, gets the car to come through, feathering the throttle. Oh no, that is definitely understeer on the power. It started to try and pull himself around. Does try and open the steering a little bit, but he is fighting with that car. So that is already telling me the front tires are starting to go. He's not able to get that bite as much as he wants, as we do see Killian Rayner get past Werner Skuman. And wow, okay, so while we were watching the replay and analyzing there, Werner Skuman showing that little bit more of understeer through Cheetah, not able to stay on the back of Killian Rayner. And now the pass has been done and dusted. Now watch, Killian Rayner is going to open up that gap as quick as he can to the likes of Werner Skuman. Yellow flag, blue flags being waved for Tian Spurter as he sees Daniel Rowe and Paul Fenter onto the back of him. Myeth Musa, though, is going to utilize this to try and pull himself a little bit closer. He immediately gets onto the back of Daniel Rowe, trying to hassle him along here, trying to really force a pass to happen. He's like, come on, buddy, you got past me. I'm blue flagged, I'm a lap down. Yes, I'm aware of that, but you need to make it work. Daniel Rowe says, well, you know what, you want to go for it? Go and get past. I'm getting into the pits because I need to get out ahead of Bernard Barkhazen on the run for this. So, interesting tactics. Bego Krubler going in that little bit deeper. Now remember, our top 5 are yet to do a pit stop. Our top 5 still need to get it done and dusted. Henry Mayer, Bego Krubler going to force him out a little bit wide. Henry Mayer leading out the field. Bego Krubler running in second place. Now, Bego Krubler in the championship, though, is currently standing in... Come on, where is it? 11th position. He's on 129 points. Finishing first is 50 points. Big win here. You want to try and go for it. Not going to be an easy time, though. Henry Mayer looking to maximize the points. He has so far only fallen out of first in round 4 and round 5, where he went in that second and third, respectively. Every other one, he's been leading the championship. If he gets a win here tonight over the likes of Bernard Barkhazen and Ryan Barrington-Smith, he will secure the championship to ensure that he stays at the top. So if he gets the win here tonight, there is no chance that he would lose the championship. He would be walking away with the PokerBet share of 150,000 Rand cash and PokerBet credits. And that is what Henry Mayer is fighting for right now. If he gets this win, this is it. This would be his final race to get it to win. The next race would be for fun. He would just be hanging in there to try and show dominance over the rest of the field. But if he falls down the order, if he lands up 3rd or 4th, by the end of this race, he would have lost the championship. He would lose the championship by a little bit. So he's got to ensure that he stays in there for the fight. Anything can happen. And now Bago Krubler is going to have to get the bit between his teeth here. He is down the order in the PokerBet Championship. So he wants to try and jump that up as quick as possible to stay within the fight. Paul Fenter running in third place. Also looking to improve, really going through it. And Paul trying to gain that little bit of time. He's let Mahayath Musa go, which is a bit of an interesting one. He does know what Mahayath Musa is capable of. He's been racing with him for a while. Big drift though. Can he bring it back? He does. Oh boy. That is a bit of a save. Clipping the dirt. And now Ruin Heineke saying, okay, buddy, now that you've given me a heart attack, let's get going once again. Kerry Fonsail trying to chase down Sean Lorero as they make their way through. Lorero going far to the left-hand side to ensure that he gets on a little bit more of defense. Kerry Fonsail is going to try and come back at him. And now they are doing everything he can. Killian Rayner is one to keep an eye out for, running in 13th position. Done all these pit stops, 4 seconds behind this little battle that we're keeping an eye on. And that is going to allow him to jump up through the order, because he needs to start breaking his way towards Bernard Barkhuizen, who's currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 positions ahead of him. So he needs to climb 6 positions rather desperately to try and remain into the fights at the moment. For Bernard Barkhuizen though, the pressure's on. He needs to come second, if not first, to still keep his arm in the fight for the championship. If he can't get that, if he's down into third, he's done. Bago Krubler pulls into the bits, gets his first pit stop out of the way. 10 minutes to go. And it looks like it is going to be a splash and dash. 8 seconds in the box. He loses out to Bernard Barkhuizen, who makes up that little bit of ground. But Bago Krubler does come out ahead of his teammate, Daniel Rowe, on the way through. So Bago Krubler is just out of that top 5 in the long game. But that doesn't bode well for Henry Mayer, as he's going to be keep feeling the pressure. Like Randall going and keeping a fair amount of pressure onto the back of likes of Bago Krubler on the way through. So keep an eye on him. He's going to try and rely that little bit of pressure on and hope to carry it through. But now this is where we're starting to see a bit of an issue, a bit of a kink in the armor, one can say. Kerry Fonsail pulls into the bits, he's trying to serve it. But Henry Mayer wasn't too far ahead of Bago Krubler when he got the pit stop done and dusted. He's going to have to try and battle his way through. He's going to see where it's all going to come into play and how is he going to stand up towards the top. Lots and lots of questions are going to be played here. As Henry Mayer, if he pulls in the pits now, it is going to hurt his timing. So he's trying to push himself out a little bit harder, dropping the wheel on the dirt. He needs to get into those 41s. Paul Fenter running in second place. He's only 2 seconds ahead of Dean Nokia, who's keeping right onto the back of him. Fleming Bauer is right there in the mix. Then we've got Bernard Barkhuizen trying to make up that little bit of time. So proper run through, but Vietia Buerta going and feeling a little bit of pain along with Tiernas Buerta. So the two Buertas having a little bit of an argument by the looks of it, and unfortunately both coming off second best, as we do see Yellow Folks being played, and suddenly we have the Martin Racing going and breaking in between them. I think that is Henry Mayer that may have done it. So let's take a look. Vietia Buerta dropping the wheel off on the dirt through Crocodile, breaks for Cheetah, loses out a little bit of drive. Suddenly Tiernas Buerta all over the back of him. Maith Musa trying to come at him, and Vietia comes across the nose. A little bit of a jump from Tiernas Buerta, and both getting into the wall. Most of the pain coming onto Vietia Buerta as Tiernas trying to make his way through. Ooh, a little bit of a scrape on by. Does have to move across the nose. A little bit on the aggressive side there. Vietia Buerta drops the wheel off onto the dirt as he carries way too much momentum, but he is having an inherent understeer from that car after that monstrous impact with the pit wall. Sean Lorero trying to go around the outside of Jean Fafiers, as Fafiers now going to go late on the anchors, try and bring himself back. Lorero tries to keep it on the inside. The Mustang going out wide, straighten up the steering, goes for the defense moment, up through the XK sweep, got him to keep it all together. Now it's going to have to swing it in through Barbecue onto the gas as early as he can. Fears nowhere to go on that one, loses out that little bit of drive, as we do see that is Issam Domingo, who is out in the dirt, not having an easy time out there, as Domingo losing out that little bit of drive. That is number 13 car And let's take a look at what happens to him. He got a little bit on the wild side. Up through the XA sweep. And I think may have outbraked himself onto the dirt into barbecue. Yep, there's the dirt. There's the catch. He tries to bring it back. And thud into the wall. Oof. There's some Domingo having a night to forget. That is for certain. Henry Mayer coming out of the pits. He's now into second place. Bernard Barkhuizen just getting by. And this is going to be an interesting telltale for them. Bego Krubler trying to make his way through. Has completed one of his pit stops. Daniel Rose done a pit stop. Dean Nokia, Fleming Bauer has now done a pit stop. So everyone within that top 11 has done their first pit stops. But when are they going to do their second? Paul Fenter into the pits. He is serving his pit stop, and I think this is a bit of a long one here. So I do think he's gone for a tire change on top of everything. So not only just a splash and dash, I think he's gone for a full tire change. No, it wasn't. He did a 5.2 seconds of the box, so he actually went for a splash and dash. Forgive me on that one. I thought he was actually going for a tire change, which would have been the weirder option. But we've seen guys pull rabbits out of a hat. Now, Dean Nokia and Daniel Rowe, they're going to utilize each other, two teammates of Hybrid Racing, pull each other along, and they do have Bego Krubler ahead of him. Ryan Barrington-Smith is behind, so they can go on defense and try and pull themselves up through the order. But this is where the communication amongst the teams start becoming a little bit sketchy, because you're into the final 15 minutes of the race and anything can happen in this race. Lots and lots can happen for the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship right here at Kyalami, the round 7. And this is the second last round of the championship of the biggest prize pool in South African history. 150,000 Rand in South African sim racing history. I just want to reiterate that. Bernard Barkhuizen has pulled into the pit, so he served his final pit stop. Bego Krubler gets on by. Henry Mayer will be up towards the order cell. Now, Bernard Barkhuizen needs to get out as quick as he can. Otherwise, Paul Fenter is going to be that very, very big problem for him. And does get past Fleming Bauer. Here comes Bernard Barkhuizen, Ryan Barrington-Smith into the pits, Brandon Kruger into the pits, Paul Fenter a little bit too far back to go on it. So, now it has played into the hands of Bernard Barkhuizen on the way through, running in 5th. Theoretical first place on the cards, bar the system going against him on this one. He is going to score. Oh, if he gets second place, he will be scoring. Let's make sure here. I want to get sort of my math in order. It's 43 points. So if we had to calculate on to this running order of where guys are going to be as we take a look towards battle of Paul Fenter and Sean Herrera, they're fighting it out. So great to see the two of them having a good go with one another. But for the likes of it, if Henry Mayer gets a win here tonight, he's going to score 50 points. So let's take a look at this. Henry Mayer on 291 plus 50 will end him up on 341. Okay, Bernard Barkhuizen. If Bernard gets the win, he's going to be 328. So he'll be on 378. So that final round is a possibility. But if Henry Mayer gets a win here, that's it for the championship. So Henry Mayer needs to win to secure his championship, and that he has no room for error in that. Daniel Rowe going and launching his way past will gain second place. Bernard Barkhuizen getting third. Henry Mayer down into 4th place. Henry Mayer now off the jacks onto the ground, moving, is behind Bernard Barkhuizen. Bernard has an opportunity here to get into the fight with Henry Mayer. As Henry Mayer loses out a little bit of time, Dean Nokia into the pits, Fleming Bowers into the pits, Ryan Barrington-Smith will be making up a bit of time in the Aston Martin. All eyes are on this. Henry Mayer needs to get himself back up through the order. He needs to stay as towards the front as possible as we DC Dean Nokia on the inside. Sean Herrera, Paul Fenter going past. Dean Nokia getting that snap oversteer on the way through as he tries to pull himself back at this point. Going to be very, very close though. Lots and lots of points, a lot being put in here. But who do you think is going to take the win here tonight? Bernard Barkhuizen or Henry Mayer? That is what I'm going to be asking you guys out there in the VIP grandstands. And you know what? We're going to make it a little bit more interactive for everyone. We're going to have a little bit of a poll put up. So we're going to ask our admin if they can put up a poll. And let's see if Henry will get the win, or will it be the likes of Bernard Barkhuizen? So, will Henry win? That is the question. Will he get the win here tonight? And I'm going to leave it out to you guys to decide who gets it. Is it going to be Henry? Is it going to be Bernard as we take a look through? Or will we see Bernard Barkhuizen be able to take the run straight down towards the final race happening next week? So the answer will be deciding. A poll will go up. There we go, our admin going and putting the poll up. Who's going to be able to get the win? So will it be Henry? Will it be Bernard to go for the win there? We're going to let you guys decide. And, well, let's let it all go. So we already got our first one. Henry getting a 50-50 split there. Bernard. Right, let's leave it up there for a little bit. We'll close it in the final 5 minutes of the race. Dean O'Keefe, Gideon Reyna, and Brandon Kruger having a good go at one another, as it does look like Brandon Kruger trying to close up to Gideon Reyna, who does put a wheel on the dirt. And Dean O'Keefe going very defensive, trying to keep that BMW at bay. Dean O'Keefe carrying the momentum through and sees Paul Fenter just ahead of him as they both try and push as hard as they can. Now Gideon Reyna getting forced on by his teammate. Pit window is now closed, so no more pit stops. And everyone that is out there has completed all their pit stops. And now it is just hammer and tongs all the way through. Dean O'Keefe watching all these mirrors at this point. Left, right, center, trying to figure out where he's going to go. Who's going to be able to gain that little bit of time. And we will close the poll in 5 minutes, folks. So, the PokerBet poll that is gone out for you guys. Who's going to get the win here tonight? Bernard Barkhuizen and Henry Mayer. Henry Mayer currently in third. Baker Krubler running in second. Bernard Barkhuizen currently running in first. Henry Mayer can theoretically, if he puts himself right into that second place, will walk away with the championship due to Bernard Barkhuizen not having an easy time out here. But if he finishes in third, that championship is going to be wide open for the final round. It will be taken down to the wire. So, let's see how this is going to go as the drivers try and make their way through. Gideon Reyna losing the drive. Brandon Kruger trying to close up onto the back of him. Dean O'Keefe onto the back of Paul Fenter, trying to push himself out a little bit more on the way through. Going to be a very, very close fight between them. And this is going to be all or nothing for our drivers, seeing who's going to be able to make their way towards the sharp end of the field. And who is going to be able to stand on top? Well, we're going to have to find out in the going stages of the race. Anything can happen, and it's going to be a bit of a wild, wild one for our drivers to see who's going to be able to do it. Everyone really needing to step up the game and see who's going to be able to close themselves up towards the end. As we see Dean really pushing hard to try and make up some time here. Not going to be an easy run for him as he tries to claw his way into the fight. Oh, it's going to be so close. It is going to be so close by the end of it. Bernard currently trying to take the win. He's got the fastest lap time of the race. Henry Mayer running in third. Bago Krubler being the linchpin here in the order. Will be able to tell how this is going to go. Let's watch Dean O'Keefe fight it out with Paul Fenter. Loses out the drive. Gideon Reyna is going to try and come back at him, doing everything he can. Dean losing a lot of time out of Ingwe. Onto the back of Paul Fenter. He backed off the gas a little bit too much there on the way through. We're going to close up our poll at 5 minutes, and so far it does look like a lot of support is going towards Bernard Barkhuizen for the win, where others are shouting out for Henry to go for the win. It is going to be an amazing one. But what we're seeing right now is Paul Fenter going elbows to elbows with Dean Nokia, Gideon Reyna, and Brandon Kruger has still hanging on to the back of that train. Just ahead of them, Kevin Jacobs going in past by Daniel Rowe, as we did see Daniel Rowe getting a little bit more of a drive. That is where Paul Fenter wants to be, a little bit closer to Daniel Rowe, realizing he's got a problem here. It's now gotten quite dark out on track. It is 18 minutes past 7 sim race time, and we do see Gideon Reyna go for the inside line. Is he going to go for a send through the S's? Tries to do it, puts his nose in. He twists Dean Nokia into the wall. He twisted Dean Nokia into the wall. Brandon Kruger comes past, lines himself up, and a desperate send on the inside. Now the two teammates are going at one another. Brandon Kruger and the likes of Gideon Reyna going up against one another into each other's doors. It is the teammates going blow for blow. Gideon Reyna now trying to keep Brandon Kruger at bay. Brandon's going to try to go around the outside. This is desperation coming into play. There is zero communication between these two at the moment. This is Papaya Racing. Well, I wouldn't say Papaya Racing anymore. I'd say this is the old school Red Bull, Sebastian Vettel, Mark Webber type of story, what we're seeing here, as Gideon Reyna and Brandon Kruger are battling it out amongst each other. That has freed up Paul Fenter to go and break away here to the sharp end and leave these two to continue their fight out. So Brandon Kruger and Gideon Reyna, part of the Ominous Gaming team, but in two different sections. Gideon Reyna, part of the main team. Brandon Kruger, part of the sister team, the KSR, which is a collection of it. So going and working together with one another. And so far, Brandon Kruger really leaning on the pressure after seeing that contact a little bit early on and come into play. So not ideal circumstances on the run through. And Brandon Kruger doing everything he can to try and look on the inside. Couldn't quite get the pass done and dusted as he tries to get a little bit more momentum through. 7 seconds before we end the poll. And oh boy, Henry Mayer's not going to be too impressed with it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that's it. Poll ends, and so far the win will be looking in the favor of this man over here, Bernard Barkhuizen, who's 9 seconds away from Bago Krobler and who's 9 seconds away from Henry Mayer. Late call on the pit stop has hurt him a lot. Ryan Barrington-Smith, though, has caught on to the back of him. Oh boy, hold the telephone here. If Ryan Barrington-Smith can get this pass done and dusted, he is going to really hurt the championship runs of Henry Mayer. So, late on the anchors, can he get it done? Ryan can be a proper linchpin if he really gets this pass done. Henry Mayer does not want to lose here. This is going to really hurt the championship hopes and not going to have a so secured victory. Ryan Barrington-Smith towards the inside, going to go late on the anchors. Can he do it? He gets it hooked in. Henry Mayer trying to go underneath him, tries to get a little bit of momentum side by side through the XK sweep, but it does look like Ryan Barrington-Smith carrying a bit more momentum. Henry Mayer has just lost out that little bit of drive. He's going to have to really tuck in and really get going. Gets a snap oversteer out of Barbecue, now chasing down. You can hear him running through the gears, really putting the revs right up into the red to try and carry that momentum through. After 44 laps, he is watching that championship now starting to come crashing down, because third place in the championship is now ahead of him. Ryan Barrington-Smith needs these points. He needs to stay in for a fight for the championship, and what this is going to do is force the likes of Henry Mayer further down the championship order, going and bringing the fight for that 150,000 Rand PokerBet and cash credits gone and given. I mean, this is big money here that we're talking about. Big, can't stress it enough. The biggest prize in South African sim racing history, and we're getting to see these drivers fight it out on the monumental run. Now, this is going to be a wild one here. Ryan Barrington-Smith keeping ahead of Henry Mayer, and Henry Mayer is just tapering off at this point. He is hemorrhaging time, 1.6 seconds behind the likes of Ryan Barrington-Smith. And now we do have one of the Project Vapor cars who's gaining a lot of time, and I think that may be Andre Sorodio that's onto the back of him. It's either Sorodio or Domingo. That's definitely not Domingo, so that is Sorodio who's on the back of him. Sorodio gonna try and look up to make a bit of time here, but this is gonna change up the race. This is going to see how it's gonna go, and at the moment Sorodio really leading on to the back of Henry Mayer, saying, come on, buddy, you're costing me a bit of time here. I need you to get going. You really need to get going, as now Henry Mayer has dropped out 2 seconds off the back of Ryan Barrington-Smith. This has just evolved the entire championship on its head. So Henry Mayer going to have to really focus on that charge. Paul Fenter dealing with Gideon Reyna and Brandon Kruger, the 2 teammates that went door-to-door with one another. Werner Skubban a little bit further behind. Fleming Bauer, Christoph Peterson, Dean Nokia. A shout-out to Dean Nokia at the moment. I do want to point out, he's still persevering on the way through. For a driver to hit the wall the way that he did, and we have seen it multitude of times, I still have to say the drivers that are able to get themselves through, they pick themselves up, they dust themselves off, and they get it towards the line to see that checker flag the only way through. That is the multitude of respect, as Jason Farmer Tank Slapper loses it into the dirt against former teammate Ruben Heineke. And that is it. Jason Farmer trying everything, trying to bring it back. Unfortunately, clip that sausage curve, bounce him up just enough. And Ruben Heineke, the former teammate, going and getting ahead. Bernard Barquez again past the number 75 car. And that is 175. That is Ruben Ferrari from the Panassi team, giving him that gap, saying, listen, get ahead of me. I don't want to deal with you right now. I just see you get across this line. And you're my going gap for this one. Gideon Reyna going to keep the pressure on to the back of Paul Fenter. 0.4 of a second behind Paul Fenter. Remember, this is one of our closest battles currently out on track, if not the closest battle. And it's now involving a 3-car train with Paul Fenter, unfortunately, stuck in the middle of this fight. He's going to have to really figure out what he needs to do here to keep ahead of the 2 green machines that are right behind him. And I'm sure he's not seeing green right now. He is just all about the yellow, as the yellow are trying to get away. Gideon Reyna losing out that little bit of time. Brandon Kruger instantly starts putting the pressure onto the back of him. You can see Gideon Reyna taking the old school maneuvers, something that he has done in the past with his brother. The Reyna brothers, they tend to run left and right. They tend to try and fish for those mirrors, looking left and right. I remember with the likes in Aston Martin, Gideon's old school favorite, he knows where to lead the car, and now having a bit more of a mid-engine, he's able to really start hunting those mirrors, forcing you to look left and right. And now both teammates doing exactly that, going and filling up both mirrors, forcing Paul Fenter to try and figure out where he's going to go, because now if you can take both eyes off the apex and focus on the 2 green machines right behind him, he will lose out the time. Paul Fenter has lost a lot of momentum, but Bernard Barkhuizen gets a win here tonight. Bago Krobler will come across the line in 2nd place, with Ryan Barrington-Smith in 3rd. Henry Mayer will come across the line in 4th place. Not ideal, but he still gets it. Daniel Rowe, Gideon Reyna, and Paul Fenter elbow to elbow, knees and toes. Paul Fenter really leading onto him, trying to close the door and really forces his way through. Paul Fenter loses out. Brandon Kruger goes for the pass, and can he get him before the line? Just couldn't get his teammate. Gideon Reyna managing just to pip ahead. And Brandon Kruger got his way through, but man oh man, they were just door to door, wheel to wheel, not ideal. And let's take a look as you see Paul Fenter trying to lean onto the door, trying to force it closed, continues to lean left onto Brandon Kruger, who loses out that little bit of drive. Gideon makes his way, well, Gideon Reyna gets past Brandon Kruger, saying, okay, well, I'll take the position there. Paul Fenter managing just to finish out behind the 2. He is going to be a little bit on the not smarty end there, but still, racing is racing. Brandon Kruger done a fantastic job, and we do see Daniel Rowe lining up with his teammate Bago Krobler coming in 2nd place. Great times on them. Bit of a flashing lights. Oh, a little bit of contact between the 2. And, well, here we go. A bit of a sequence and finish there. Bago Krobler, Daniel Rowe showing off what they can do. Elnor showing off what they can do. But wow, oh wow. Barkhuizen getting the win. Bago Krobler 2nd place. Ryan Barrington-Smith coming in 3rd. Henry Mayer in 4th. Daniel Rowe in 5th. 6th place. Gideon Reyna followed by Brandon Kruger, Paul Fenter, Werner Skubban, Fleming Bauer, Christoph Peterson, Dean O'Keefe, Kerry Fitzel, Sean Verfiers, Sean Lorera in 15th. Mahith Musa, Jason Farmer, Ruben Heineke, Tianis Burta, Vietia Burta in 20th. 21st, Loic Randamel, followed by Ryan Ferrari, Andre Sorodio, Kevin Jacobs, Issam Domingo, and Rian Foto raced, rounding out our field here tonight in the running order. So, whew, with that being said, let's take a breather back to our commentary box. Oh man, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit worn out after that one and hearing the engines go and Wild and Styles all the way through. It's been an absolutely monumental run, and drivers having to push themselves that little bit harder. But before we bring the drivers in, we're going to do a little bit of math in the background here because, well, we got to. We got to know where the championship's at and how close it is going to be into the final round before we let on to the drivers and let them know how close this is going to be. They're going to be watching live stream. I know they are because that's generally what they do. But we want to see it for ourselves on the running order. So, Bernard Barkhuizen gets a win. He's going to score 50 points in the bag to his 238 points. Calculator, here we come. Please work with me. So 200 points, and he's on 238. So, let's quickly figure that one out because I'm terrible at math. That's not very good to me for saying, but that's going to put him up 388. Henry May, on the other hand, finished in 4th. So on our scoring, go down, that's 35 points for Henry May at 291. So 291 plus, and that is going to be 35 points instead of the 50 that he's so used to. It's going to bring him on to 326. Ooh. So that is going to definitely hurt onto the chances here. Well, that being said, let's bring the drivers in because we want to talk to them and get their insight, as we do have a couple of drivers waiting to join into the fray of things. And that is going to start it off with our third place driver, Ryan Barrington-Smith. Ryan Barrington-Smith, welcome. Oh, and wow, Ryan, let's talk about the race out there. Third place, great fighting on the way through, but playing a little bit of a late gamble game to get yourself towards the top. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good after that race. I must say the whole of the first stint, I felt like I was on the wrong strategy choice between the tire change and the no tire change. I could feel by the pace of Bago and Mayer ahead of me that they were not changing tires, and I was just stuck behind them. So yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get past. I was losing time, getting a bit frustrated. So I came in for the pit stop, changed tires, and started banging out quick lap after quick lap. And luckily, I managed to catch up to a lot of the guys and make some overtakes and jump people in pit stops, and ended up on the podium, which I really wasn't expecting tonight.
Well, a great time out there. You quite used to podiums, I got to say. Over the course of your sim racing career, you've done a great job in that. But, I mean, third place, not an easy run through it all, and getting that top win. So, let's take it through. You are third in the championship. You're really trying to claw your way there. Maximizing points here tonight. Third place, you've managed to get yourself 214 points into this fight. Okay.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're 214 points in. You're able to really hook into the fight of things, and still holding on to that third place going into the final round. Does that bring a little bit of a relief, knowing that you've got some maneuverability, that you're still in it for that share of 150,000 Rand of cash and PokerBet credits brought in by PokerBet, our title sponsor, breaking history here tonight?
Yeah, it makes all the difference in the world. I knew there was 2 rounds left. I was sitting P3 coming into this race as well. But I knew the gaps behind me were close enough that if I messed up both of these 2 races, I could have found myself as low down as 8th or 9th in the championship. So finishing P3 was awesome. Obviously, consistency has been key for me this season. I've managed to avoid the podium the whole season, but I think I've got 3 P4 finishes so far this season. So the consistency has really helped keep me in the game for that podium fight. And yeah, I must say I'm really happy with how the season's turned out. I wasn't expecting to finish quite as high as I have, but yeah, it's been good and consistent. I think there's only one race where I've had a bad result. Otherwise, I've always been in the top 6. So I'm really happy with the progress. And now, yeah, obviously last race I should have a decent gap behind me to P4 in the championship. So I can maybe take a risk or two. I don't want to take too big of a risk, but yeah, I should be able to hopefully hold on to that P3. I think I'm a little bit too far behind to catch up to the guys in first and second.
Well, I still got to say, absolutely tremendous stuff. Now, I got to ask a very good question. Are you sick and tired of Kyalami? Because you were there over the course of the weekend. You race on Wednesday. You now race on a Thursday. Are you done with it?
To be honest, yes. I've had to spend the whole weekend, last weekend in the sim rig, doing laps at Kyalami, watching laps at Kyalami. I got to experience the track in the car in the passenger seat for the first time in my life. That was awesome. Yeah, with Dan Rowe taking me around the track of all people as well. So that was really cool. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I've obviously raced it twice already this week, but on Saturday I've got another 9-hour endurance at Kyalami. So I'm not done for this week. Yeah.
Yeah, carrying it all the way through. Well, Ryan Barrington-Smith of Logistical Nightmare Racing, third place. The floor is yours. Keep a PG-13, but you're more than welcome to address our absolute awesome petrol heads out there and also all our sponsors, but not to forget PokerBet going and putting on that monster prize pool, which you have a chance of putting your hand into the cookie jar there.
Yeah, well, thank you to everyone for tuning in. We really appreciate all the views on the live streams. It makes all the difference in the world. And yeah, thanks to the sponsors, yeah, all of them, especially obviously PokerBet with that huge prize pool. It means all the world to us sim racers to be recognized for what we're doing and for you to be involved. It's absolutely awesome, and we hope that this relationship continues for long into the future.
Oh, tremendous stuff. Well, Ryan, go and enjoy the celebrations and maybe talk to Paul. I think he's got a few scratch marks on the side of his car, sharing it with one of the Ferraris out there. I'm sure you're going to hear about that one.
I already heard about it in the voice chats. I think something happened in the last couple of corners and he lost a couple of positions right at the end there.
Yeah, that was definitely one to go rewatch. Ryan, thank you very much for joining us and good luck for the final round happening next week.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Absolutely tremendous stuff out there. Next up, though, let's bring in Bego Hrobler. Johan Bego Hrobler, I just pulled you out of a conversation as I could hear there. I do apologize. Very rude of me to do so. But let's talk about your race here tonight. Late call on the pit stops, going for a later stop. Second place win, though, scoring valuable points. You're now up to 172 points in for the fight, which means you're moving out of that 11th position in the championship into the top 10. But tonight, second place around Kyalami for the second last race of the championship, the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling tired, but good. Yeah, nice to get the result that we sort of know we're capable of for a change. So nice to not end the night a bit disappointed or frustrated for a change.
Well, I've got to say, proper run there. But let's talk about your fights that you had during the course of this race, because it wasn't an easy time. You were going nose to tail for quite a bit of time with Bernard Barkhuizen and then landed up losing out to him. You suddenly had Henry Mayer in front of you and Ryan Barrington-Smith all over the back of you as well. Landed up a 3-car train towards the end. What was running through your mind at that point, seeing that Henry Mayer, the championship leader, is just within arm's reach, but you had Ryan Barrington-Smith really going and clawing his way through, grabbing you at the heels all the way through?
Yeah, the fight with Barry started actually right from the start of the race, and I sort of couldn't really judge from his pace if he was running light or heavy. So I didn't want to over-defend, but at one point he sort of dropped back, I think, and just sort of managed his pace. And then later on in the stint, when he did get a sort of half-decent run up to what's it, Mineshaft, I think I'll just let him go because I could see he's got a bit more pace. And then Henry usually is quite fast at the start of a stint, and then he's got a bit of drop off towards the end. So I was quite mindful of that. I didn't expect him to drop off quite as hard as he did, though. So I was quite surprised with the gap when I finished my second pit stop. I didn't expect to be that far ahead, but yeah, I'll take it.
I've just got to say, I mean, one person's misfortune is another person's gain in the world of motorsports, and that's one thing that you got to do. You got to capitalize on the moments. But seeing that you come in second place, it's been a busy week for hybrid racing at the moment. You guys have been quite frantic of getting the cars all set up for the championship and trying to get yourself through the order. I know there has been lots of communication on strategies for Kailami, but how is it feeling now knowing next week is it? This is the make or break for it, to try and get yourself a little bit higher up in the order. Yes, the top 3 is a little bit of a reach out at the moment, unless something goes horribly wrong, but still wanting that top 10, to be in the top 10 for the biggest prize pool in South Africa's sim racing history, 150,000 Rand cash and PokerBet credits on the line here.
Yeah, I think after the start that we had to the season, I think I had 7 points after the first 2 races. The goal was sort of just to try and fight back into the top 10 come the end of the season. So need to still get a good result the last round to stay in the top 10, and then we'll see how far up we can get. But yeah, not expecting too much, just gonna do my best. And yeah, quite keen to see what the points look like now for the fight between Henry and Bernard as we go into the last round. So I was just chatting to Bernard about that, actually, you know.
All right.
Well, it's always nice for everybody involved, the viewers, the other drivers that aren't necessarily in that championship fight anymore when it goes down to the wire. So quite keen to see how that's going to play out next week.
Okay, so I've actually worked it out. Don't go too far, because it is going to be a shocker. So suggest you listen there, Bago. But with that being said, Bago Krobler, I mean, you've done a phenomenal job in this race, second place for the hybrid racing. The floor is yours to address our amazing petrol heads that cheer you on throughout the season, and also our sponsor PokerBet going and raising the stakes here, keeping a very close eye on the competition, and suddenly having the wild cards, the jokers, come into play. That is changing up the championship. The floor is yours.
Yeah, just firstly a huge thank you to Hansi and Batis for giving us this opportunity and putting RaceFace out there for us to enjoy. And then huge thank you obviously to the sponsors. They've really given us all a reason to massively up our game this season, and I think it shows in the end product. The races we've seen this season, how competitive everybody's been, just the amount of time everybody's been putting in, it's been amazing, and it's wonderful to be part of. And then just to the hybrid boys, Dean, long night this week. I moved over the weekend, so me and Dean got together for one decent practice session before the race. Many more of those to come, and we'll keep working, and we won't stop until all of us are on the top steps. So, yeah, thank you.
That's it. Hybrid Racing has been there once before. You have been the winner of a championship, not once, not twice, but many, many times in the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it's all going to go, and hopefully next season is going to be a little bit more on the higher stakes side. Bago Krobler, well done, and we'll chat to you again next week.
Thank you so much. See you then.
Oh, absolutely tremendous stuff. Now in for our final chat. Bernard Barkhuizen, welcome to the commentary room. Welcome to first place. And, well, okay, before I give you the workout and points, because, you know, I've worked it out already.
I would really like to know.
How are you feeling after that race?
Great. I'm ready to do a next one if we can.
Okay, so speed it up a week. You know, just move it up a week.
Look, if we can do the final race tomorrow, I mean, that would be so cool. I'm just ready. I just want to get that end result. But I think Henry does have the edge. I think the gap might be a little bit too big.
Okay, so you know, let's talk about the points here. You scored that first place. So Henry finished in fourth place. I mean, you've witnessed that. That was a bit of a trying effort. You've come in first place, so maximizing the points there. But right before we give the points, I got Tristan here just to go and say, how's it, and congratulations. Oh, sorry, I'm keeping you on the edge there.
It's fine.
What's happening now? I just popped in.
Okay, well, if you just popped in, well, then I best give the answer. So, Henry Mayer finished in 4th place. He will be finishing with 326 points. Drum roll on how close this is going to be for the championship, because Bernard Barkhuizen has just scored 50 points for his championship. Henry Mayer.
Were fastest lap, I think.
All right. Well, Bernard, you have got 388 points heading into the final race. Now, just to take this,
I think I need to interject you there, mate. I think it's 288, right?
288.
And plus 2 points, so it's going to be 290. So Henry is what, 320 something, so that's about a 30 odd point difference, which I think it's doable. I mean, anything can happen, it's racing, so I don't know, let's see.
Well, in the final, it's going to be wild. You've closed up the gap. And what's going to happen, Bernard Barkhuizen, for the final race, you and Henry are going to be battling out for the win, because whoever gets that win will be able to walk away with the share of 150,000 Rand cash and PokerBet credits. That's what's needed in the final race next week. How are you feeling knowing that little bit of information, that it's right there? Both of you got your hands on the trophy. Both of you have got your hands on the slot machine. It is striking all stars the whole way through, but there can only be one winner at the end of it, and it is going down to the wire for the likes of the Honest Gaming and the Martin Racing team.
Yeah, yes, that's a lot of money. I don't know what to do with it. Maybe I must start giving it out or something, what can I say? I'm quite calm. The next race is Nürburgring, so it's one of my favorite tracks. So, I'm just going to practice hard like I did for Kyalami today and see what happens, I guess.
Well, this is going to be a wild run. It's going to be all. You scored 50 points here tonight. Henry Mayer scored 35 points here tonight, and that is excluding the likes of the fastest lap, because, well, fastest lap just adds. But ultimately, you want to go for a big win. Bernard Barkhuizen, though, first place here tonight at Kyalami for the second last round of the championship of the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship for Ominous Gaming. How are you feeling? And address our amazing petrol heads out there, along with PokerBet, who's keeping a very close eye on the competition at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. Firstly, as always, I'd like to thanks Bertus and Ansi for making everything possible, Same to you, Stephen, for your excellent commentary week at week. And for all the sponsors, thanks for the massive prize pool. It's unbelievable. I didn't think we would win so much money for doing sim racing. It's almost more than the real world. So, very thankful for that. And everyone watching, definitely stay tuned to see next week's race, because I think it's going to be a stunner.
Well, it's going to be who's going to put their hand into the cookie jar first, who's going to walk away from the high-stakes table with the win, who's going to be able to have the ace up their sleeve, and who's going to walk away with a full house. Bernard Barkhuizen, thank you very much for joining us here tonight, and we look forward to having a chat to you next week for the racing, and also next week being the sprint series that will be running its final race on the Wednesday.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Oh boy, Tristan, what a run it has been here at Kyalami in terms of the pro division. I've got to say, exciting times, but working out those points, even more exciting for the final race, because, well, whoever wins walks away with the biggest prize in sim racing history in South Africa, 150,000 Rand in cash and PokerBet credits, brought on by PokerBet, who raised the stakes to the point that we're down to the final race of the season in our pro division. I don't know about you, but I don't think anything can beat the pros right now.
No, I mean, the Pro-Am division was absolutely ecstatic as well. We had so many position changes coming down into the last wire. We had the change for first place coming down into the final 10 minutes. I mean, it was an absolutely phenomenal race. We predicted it, though, from the sprint. Kyalami has been a pinnacle track for some very monumental racing, and we saw it tonight. I hope you saw it too in the Pro Division. From what it sounds like, the Pro Division was also absolutely ecstatic, and PokerBet has only just made that even more ecstatic. So looking forward to going into round 8. It's going to be very interesting to see what these drivers can do. It's looking tight for the championship for some of the lower positions of 2nd and 3rd for the Pro-Am division. And the Pro, obviously, we might potentially have a championship decided next week.
Well, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. And honestly, Tristan, I think we're in for an absolute banger. Let's talk about what's coming up next week, though, because there is quite a few bits of racing coming on. We do have the RACEFACE.PRO GT3 Championship in iRacing going for its Season 2 out on a Tuesday. Make sure you tune in for that one. That's going to be starting at 8:30 with 2 heats are going to be running. I'm going to say I'm quite excited there because my teammate, the Element Price, is going to be racing once again. The poor man, we've got him out of retirement and we've got him his old walker so he could get back into the racing. He's going to be teaming up with a couple of guys out there. I'm really looking forward to the iRacing side of things. But Wednesday, final race of our RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series here on ACC. Round 8, Nürburgring. Going to be an exciting one, going to be a lively one. And then Thursday is the RACEFACE.PRO PokerBet GT3 Championship for the 150,000 Rand prize pool. So come next week, can you believe us, Tristan? We're going to be handing out a total of 250,000 Rand in cash and PokerBet credits to our drivers here in the sim racing. Next week is going to be monumental. I can't even picture how many zeros at the end of that. And that is all because PokerBet came up and said, let's raise the stakes after seeing it all. They've gone and put down the cards. They said, right, let's see if we can push things a little bit further. First it was 100,000 Rand, then it's 150,000 Rand. Tristan, I don't know about you. I'm super excited about that, but just thinking about next week is 250,000 Rand that can go out to our drivers. Now, our spectators can win so much with PokerBet just by clicking on the link in the description, but our drivers are also going to win big next week. I mean, just think about that.
250,000 Rand for sim racing. I mean, if you thought about this 3 years ago, I mean, like Bernard was saying, I mean, that's kind of the stuff you see in real life racing. Now we're seeing it sitting at a computer in a homemade rig. And, you know, you're out here actually busy fighting for that amount of money that can literally change lives in terms of how much that is. 250K issued out on 2 different days. I mean, that's absolutely ecstatic. And there's only one person to thank for that, and that is PokerBet.
That is the equivalent to ordering 7 boxes of 12 Steri Stumpies, chocolate flavored, no ice, or going and grabbing a couple of cheese puffs with it as well. Maybe a bit more than that.
I think a lot more.
Yeah, I'm a little bit hungry now, and I think I just made myself hungry on that one. But Tristan, I think you and I got to go to the rec room because this has been incredible stuff. But a massive shout out to all our drivers and teams. A big shout out to everyone joining in for it. A massive shout out to our sponsors, PokerBet being that title sponsor and really upping the cards by our petrol heads out there in the virtual grandstands in our VIP PokerBet and Red Star Raceway grandstands for both our Pro and Pro-Am racing here tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week with all the action. Starting on a Tuesday, we've got the iRacing guys going to be heading out with some GT3 action. Season 2, you want to go and take a look at that. Expecting a grid of over 50 cars in one server is going to be a wild, wild ride, especially with Query, the new McLaren coming into play in iRacing. Everyone's hoping and waiting for the final to actually happen with that. McLaren's just got to give it the go-ahead and we'll have a new GT3 in it. But sad to see the MP4-12C disappear. All right, but that being said, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, don't forget 21st of September, we've also got Tristan going and making his debut outing at Red Star Raceway on live commentary. Can't forget that. That's one of the big moments. It's a big highlight, even in my life. But, boys and girls, thank you very much for joining us here tonight. And we'll see you next week with all the racing right here at RACEFACE.PRO. Make sure you like all our social media and also PokerBet out on Facebook and all social media that are on the outlets. We'll see you next time. And like always, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everybody. Gentlemen, what an absolute blazer of a season we've had so far. 7 rounds done and dusted and put in the bag. Multiple champions coming into the fight, multiple class winners. I mean, this has been incredible stuff. But now, round 7's behind us. We're looking to round 8 as we head to the Nürburgring to see who's going to win our GT3 Championship and our GT3 Sprint Series and get that prize pool at the end. With all the amazing racing that comes to you weekly, we have to give acknowledgement to our sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible here at RACEFACE.PRO. So starting off with our first sponsor, let's go and take your hats off to PokerBet. For all the tournaments, for all the cash games, daily free rolls, and sports betting, there's no better place to be and win with PokerBet. With it all revved up and you're looking for high speed, whether you're into drag, drift, or even long circuit, Red Star Raceway has got you covered. As we take a look off to all our machinery needs, head over to Oddendorf Machinery Mart. Remember to keep it slick with SA Lube, 20 years of Castrol distribution. Sliding in to keep you on your toes, Scallywags Drift Academy will keep you right at the top of the pack. And if you're looking for all your streaming needs, head over to Tenvo Tech for all the overlays. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's been an honor having you. We'll see you next time right here from the THT production.